So I recently shot a wedding where the groom and the groomsmen they got their tuxes from what I thought was a reputable place.
Is it the Black Tux?
I can't say because I like this company. I guess they just screwed up this particular order, right? So like all the groomsmen and the groom, they all got black tuxes, except for this one groomsman.
This
got
was
a blue
my
tux.
wedding, not yours.
Was yours wedding?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I was just hanging
They're
out with the
all
guys.
Ben's weddings. If he's
He
there,
acts like his elite.
if he's there, it's his wedding.
Yo, I'm shooting at
Busybody.
I'm shooting at Arrow Park with you
He
in a
was
few
doing
weeks.
road
Right?
prep. That's why.
What? Not
Yeah.
this Sunday.
One coming up.
Something.
Anyway, you remember how she was
Blogged.
second shooter for me,
And she blogged it.
and she blocked it, and then she ended up on the vendor list.
Yeah.
I did not blog it.
And, like, I'm not-
I just got an inquiry because I'm just amazing.
Well,
Okay.
alright, but anyway,
oh my gosh.
so
Did
anyway,
not blog
so
it.
this poor
Maybe I
groomsman,
posted one photo on Instagram.
Okay, this one goes at Karis's wedding.
sure, that I shot, right? That I shot,
that you second shot.
co-shot, and they had a blue. One groomsman had a navy blue, but it was so blue it was almost black, and he didn't realize it. And I was looking at the
until you're outside, you don't like notice.
Right, when the light hits
because
it.
inside
you notice it.
midnight blue or
Yeah.
navy blue, it's very
Yeah.
close to black.
Yeah.
Are you able to desaturate the blue on the
I don't know.
photos?
So he pretty much told everyone, "No, we could do it in post." I was like, "You're
It's
so
not your
I respect
wedding,
that,
Ben
not for that
Lau.
situation.
You did. I was like,
Oh, I
so
thought that groomsman told people that. I'm like,
he
fuck
did.
you.
Karis's wedding?
You're so annoying. And number one step, he's telling everyone, "Oh wait, we got a." I'm like, stop telling people that. Like, what is your
Yeah, I
problem?
tell Jen that too. Stop
Yeah.
saying that shit.
No. I say for easy things. For
Don't
things
matter.
like that, where you have to probably send it out. Like,
Can you make the soup
Ben
black?
Lau.
Well, anyway,
It's just one person blue. I'm like,
Well, do you do a lot of wedding party shots where you'll have to, where it's noticeable?
Ben did a lot, but
I did a lot of shots.
Actually,
You know what you do?
Yeah.
You're going to be the one fixing
You
it.
put him in the back. Do the flying V. Put him in the back.
and this was like brother of the bride.
So he has to be in the front and center.
Why is it that always the bride's brothers always fuck up the like?
No,
the
it
I
wasn't
don't
his
know.
fuck up. It wasn't his fuck up. The
Well,
ceremony fucked
not
it
that
up.
they
Anything
fuck up,
going
but,
wrong
but the fuck ups
goes-
always happen to them.
Yes,
like family
always.
member,
Yeah.
someone important, right?
I had the
time.
same thing happen. The bride's brother shows up. He has a completely different color tie
Mhm.
than everybody else. Everybody's looking at him. What the fuck, man? And he's like, what? And he's like, this is what they gave me. And he had to run and go get a tie the same color.
But I will say that given enough notice, like Black Tux, they will overnight a new replacement
Of
suit for you.
course, yes. you
Except
noticed.
during COVID, because they fucked me during COVID.
Oh yeah.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, they sent me this baggy ass suit. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And they sent it the day before.
Oh.
Where did you have to go? Where were you wearing the suits?
I went
for?
to a wedding, to your cousin's wedding.
Yeah.
So you went to this wedding looking like Steve Harvey.
I had to fucking sew it the night before myself. like put a couple of stitches just to hold the sleeves.
You
It
should've
literally
rolled
went past my hand.
Oh, no.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
You should roll up to the wedding. We surveyed 100 people. This.
But that was during COVID. Like they couldn't keep up with the orders, so usually they ship it a week before. And you have time to try it on.
We've had better luck with Black Tux than other companies, but obviously you have Suit Supply, you have
Indochino.
Indochino's another
Yeah.
one. Yeah, you
Which is
got.
the place I used in the city.
But our guest today could probably enlighten us on
There's
some of these
black
things.
tux in the city too.
We went
Oh,
to their
really?
we went
Yeah,
to
yeah.
their opening. We went to the opening party
Yeah.
in Soho. It was
Oh,
the best
nice.
old fashioned I ever had. That was
Mm.
pretty good.
Yeah.
But in any case, in fact, you guys keep interrupting me, right?
What do you want?
No. I think our guest today could probably shed some light on maybe wardrobe malfunctions,
Yes.
times
Wedding
that
horror
she's had to
stories.
save the day because
How to
of somebody
prepare for
somebody else's screw up. You know?
Yeah.
But I mean that's kind of why her role is so important on a wedding day, right? So with that being said, you guys ready to get this podcast started?
We are.
I think
Welcome to the Focus Area podcast. My name is Ben,
I'm Karis.
This is Jen.
and this is Ro.
and I'm not Focused AF today. I'm Scattered Brain AF
I
today.
have to be focused. I have a lot to edit. We have a session today,
Yeah.
and we're leaving on Saturday night, so I got to get all this stuff done before I go.
Saturday.
Where you guys?
Huh?
Where you guys headed?
Iceland,
Iceland,
Scotland,
One day in Ireland.
and one day in Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're heading the opposite direction. We're going to Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting away from this heat. Screw that.
I'm going deeper into the heat. We're going to be hanging out by the pool and just eating burritos and stuff.
Nice.
Not because we're in Mexico, because That's what they have down there. I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that, right? But anyway, we have a very special guest joining us today. I have the great pleasure of working with her at my wife's wedding. It's one of hers, not mine.
Good to like the clarification.
And and I've also had the opportunity to work with her on some personal projects as well. But my fondest memory working with her was when I think there was a wardrobe malfunction on the day of, and I kid you not, she had a little pouch, this little emergency kit. She's running around like Batman with all these little pouches around her and stuff, and she had the stuff to fix whatever needed to be fixed. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
She's like, what was it? Mary Poppins with the bag that has everything in there, or Hermione's little purse, whatever. Yeah, she's got all kinds of stuff.
Hermione's little
She
purse.
fit the whole house in there.
Yeah. But you guys have actually worked with her at weddings, so I'll be quiet for a few minutes while you guys.
Well, we worked one wedding with her.
Uh-huh.
That was at the Wave Resort,
It
right?
was hot as hell that
All
day.
of
Yeah,
us, yep.
hot as hell.
And it was in the evening. It was thunderstorms, lightning.
Wasn't it
every
like
2
April?
seconds.
Yeah. Thunderstorm. There was lightning while the bride was doing
Yeah,
speech.
it was
and
like a strobe effect in the background.
we thought we were gonna lose power. It was
Wait, was it intentional?
what?
The strobe effect.
No,
No, lightning.
Actual lightning.
Actual lightning on
my
the like a
God.
thunderstorm.
Yeah, and then what about you?
What me? You were there.
No, but like you
You
have
were
a
there
different...
acting like a lead too.
Well, then now we just need to introduce her
She probably
and confirm this
she
with
probably
her.
thought you were a lead.
No, I don't think so.
And then I came later and he's like, oh, he was introducing me to everyone.
Your second shooter was handing out his business card.
Yeah. And then
During
he's
the
like,
wedding.
oh, here, meet this person, that person. I was like, okay.
Okay, well now we need to confirm with Brielle if he introduced himself as working
Yeah.
for Hey Karis or Ben Lau Photography.
Actually, I remember this. All right, no, you do your introduction first, and then I will continue with the story. But go ahead. So without further ado, I want to welcome our friend Brielle to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Guys, how are you?
And I introduce you as Brielle because I can't pronounce your last name.
You know, it's funny. I was like, I wonder if he'll be able to say the last name. A lot of people can't. So there's a Z in there. It throws everyone off.
There's a couple of vowels in there and a couple,
Yeah. No, I gotcha. To confirm, actually, so it's funny because I always do calls with my photographers before the wedding. And so I did it with Karis.
Yes.
And I remember having you there and I was like, oh, do you shoot for Karis often? And you're like, well, I'm actually her husband. So, like we do a lot, but like I also have my own business too. And like, so it was good.
I love it.
that.
Was this the call that you're on with the planner or someone's like, oh, is your assistant going to be there? I was like, your assistant?
No, that was recent.
No, that was last year.
No.
Yeah, she was on a call, and the planner was like, "Oh yeah, is your assistant going to be there?" And I popped up over my desk. I was like, "Your assistant?"
And then like Ben handing you his card, call Ben Lau Photography next time.
It's so funny. Do you guys have competitions about like who gets like more inquiries or something with your company?
Ben does, but Ben's always counting.
He's been around longer.
It's got to be interesting, right? Because like, you know, Ben's got his own and you've got your own, but then you two have it together, right? So it's like there's no competition there necessarily,
Right,
but like,
right.
No, there is a competition on who does more work.
Oh, that part,
Why
yeah.
don't you ask him?
That's the part.
Ask him, like, who do you think does more work? Ask him.
yeah, who do you think? Who do you think it is?
I think it's equally distributed.
So
Whatever
funny.
makes you feel better.
Love that. Do you have kids?
No.
Okay.
Just dogs.
Just
Those
dogs.
are the babies.
Same thing.
Two
But
dudes.
there you go. That's awesome though. Very cool.
Yeah.
And I would say introduce yourself. Tell us what you do, how long you've been doing it,
Oh,
the whole
boy.
journey.
So my name's Brielle Uszenski
Uzensky,
for
got
Ben
it.
over
Oh,
there.
not too bad.
It's really simple. Break it down. Uszenski.
There you go.
Yeah. So and I always thought that I'd marry a nice guy who had a really simple last name, but no, I actually had a hyphenated last name my whole life. It was because my parents couldn't agree on what to give me. So I was like, I could hyphenate it a third time and have every letter in the alphabet be my name. But I was like, let's just go with the crazy one, which is just Uszenski. And I am a wedding and event planner, but I'm also a makeup artist. So I started in this business, 16 years ago, doing makeup.
Wait, so then we did meet before I think you had reminded me we did a wedding where you did makeup, I think.
Probably.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you told me that at the wedding. Okay.
And it's funny because when like my other vendor friends see me doing makeup, they're so confused.
Right.
They're like, "What's happening?" Like, like, "Oh, Brielle, where's your timeline?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not the planner today." But yes, I've been doing that for a long time, and I used to work for like MAC and Charlotte Tilbury and Bare Minerals when I was in college, and then kind of dipped my toe into the wedding industry, and that's how everything opened. And worked for another person for a while, and then opened my own company. It was 4 years ago this January, so we're
During COVID.
Oh,
Yeah.
another COVID. Everyone we've been interviewing
Yeah.
lately started during COVID.
My
Yeah,
chiropractor that I went to today started his business during COVID. I was like, "Are you out of your mind?"
not for it's crazy because like I think COVID really allowed people to sort of sit and think about, so many career changes came out of it, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you sat, you thought about it, you got all your ducks in a row, and we're like, all right, I'm just gonna
Because at that
roll
point,
with
you had
it.
nothing to lose. You had nothing to lose at that point.
Nope.
It was
Right?
all the time to prepare for it. Yep.
Exactly.
Were you doing makeup, just makeup at the time?
Yeah, actually, so I've lived like a bunch of lives. So while I was doing makeup like part-time, I was actually a family law paralegal for a while, which is probably why I'm very anal about things. And then I also did like a little stint in marketing at one point too. So I feel like I've got corporate, marketing, artistry, put it together and you've got planning. So there you go. But yeah, so I've got a lot of different things happening. But yeah, during COVID.
Well, I guess we'll ask this question twice. So for your first, well, actually, makeup's a little different because, well, I don't know what makeup, what the price range is for that, right?
A lot.
Well, I mean, a lot is relative, right? Because I've seen quotes as high as $500 to $700 for the bride, and I've also seen them as high as $1,500 to $2,000 for the bride.
Yeah.
So like it can range. But for your first planning gig, did you do it with someone else? Did you apprentice under someone else, or you just went in?
No, so you're all gonna laugh, but so when I was thinking about starting my own company, I'm really close with my grandmother, and who was like a top litigator in the city for many years, and she knew I wanted to do this, and so she helped me formulate the LLC. She's actually technically quote unquote my business partner. She gave me, she gave me
Amazing.
seed money to start, and that's obviously like
That's
been grateful,
awesome.
but yeah. So, but it was just me. And so when I first opened my doors, and actually a hot topic, but I listed myself on the knot because I was like, all right, let's see how we can
get
get,
it going.
let's see how we can do this. Met someone on there. And my first quote, I think I quoted them like I was like shitting my pants. I was like, oh my God, like they're never going to say yes. I went too high. And she did it. And I was like,
Well, I mean, it's long enough ago. What did you quote them?
this was for full planning, and this was a full build out, so not at a venue or anything like that. So I think I quoted her like $7,500.
Nice.
Which is like a big number for back then.
I'm gonna take my
And
calculator out to see how many more.
That's
And she did it. No, no, no.
900. That's 900 Moses Cruises, I think.
but also this client, I mean, she was very well to do. I mean, she had 2 barns on the property. One barn was full of
Am I close? 900
custom
something?
cars. Custom cars. So
You're
like
right.
Maseratis,
Nice.
Porsches.
Amazing.
Like,
wow.
so it's not like, this was like a crazy ask for her, but I was like shitting my pants because I was like, if I only get this one client this year, it'll be fine. Like, whatever, it's great.
I'll survive with this one client.
No,
Jen.
it was.
Did she come from the knot?
She did, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you can get. All right. So this
No,
ties.
we've gotten
Hot
weddings on
topic.
it.
This,
Yeah.
this ties really well into what I'm going to say next. Because you can, for that price, you can get 125 Moses Cruises.
That's right. Yeah.
For that, for
125 is the actual number.
But no, and this was like your first wedding.
So it's funny you say that because, and this is something I wanted to bring up also to ask you guys, but this was actually the first booking that I got for my company. And she ended up canceling.
Oh no!
And the reason she ended up I was so bummed because it was going to be such a cool build out and such a cool concept. And I really was like so excited to do it. But she canceled for a good reason. Her fiance, who was much older, they were an older couple getting married like for the second time type situation. He was cheating on her with her best friend and she caught them on camera. Yes. Crazy.
It wasn't me.
Crazy.
On camera? It wasn't me.
Oh my God.
Now that's one juicy story.
Yeah.
And she came back and that's literally what she told you? Like,
my goodness.
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God.
Yeah. I mean, she was a character. I'll be nice about it. She was a character, but it was going to be an awesome wedding. And I was super
Is the
bummed.
retainer refundable?
No, I never, ever make their. I should say this. It's in my contract. Retainer is non-refundable. We reserve the date. I think that should be
Right.
standard for all wedding pros.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Mhm.
But I will say this, like, depending on the situation, right? So, like, if for whatever reason someone pays me a retainer and then like 2 weeks later they're like, we broke up, obviously it's a little
Right,
different.
right.
I kind of do it on a case-by-case
Case
basis.
basis, yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
You know, and also, but at the same time, like, if I've already done a site visit at that time and like
Mhm.
contracted
Right,
a bunch of stuff, like I sort of, I'm
You've
like,
done
well,
work. You've done work.
exactly. So
Yeah.
you have to sort of like keep it in that mentality.
Yep.
I've also had it where, you know, people cancel much later on. And at that point, I'm like, well, everything I've done up to this point, like I'm keeping, but I'm going to release you from,
Right.
Whatever
Yep.
you know,
have
whatever
left.
is left, because
Yeah.
that's not fair, which I
Yep.
get.
Yeah. I mean, it is
Similar.
part of our contract. You couldn't ask for it, but like no one ever does. Like I'm not gonna come back to you for like the balance if
We've had
I'm
a
not
few
doing
people,
the work.
Yeah.
I'm not like.
We've had a few people come
Right.
back.
Right.
What do you mean?
And like
Ask for retainer?
ask for more. Yeah, everything
But I
back.
don't give it back.
Right.
Doesn't make sense. I'm not really ever doing a
Right.
product. It feels a
I'll
little
give
weird.
it back to you, like retainer wise, if it's like really short notice. I've just booked them, but something
Yeah.
happened like in a week or
Yeah.
two. And
Yeah.
then, of
Mhm.
course.
Yeah, they
But
ended
if
up like
it's like-
booking someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
Something happens. But
What about if it's a year out? Would you just
no, you're out then.
Yeah, no.
you're screwed?
Yeah.
No, because especially if it's like a premium date, screw that.
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
no.
That's happened to us. FYI, you broke the record for the highest amount on your first gig.
Mm.
Yeah, 75 was the highest I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, what was? She didn't get the whole thing though.
Yeah.
So it
And
was your
it's
next,
different scale.
Yeah, still.
Yeah.
but it's still very good for your first
Yeah.
booking.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And
Still very good.
I was really
Which is
like
unfortunate.
shocked. Right, exactly. And then I think that also set the tone though, right? Because it's like, okay, now I've
You know
done
your
Oh
it.
yeah.
Right?
I know what I could do.
I know
yeah.
what I can do.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, everybody else is like, wait, wow, what? Like, how much? And I'm
Yeah.
like, but here's the thing. And I strive to do this. And I was very fortunate my first year. And I should back this up too, because your first year you take on everything.
Everything.
Everyone.
Of course.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you just build your portfolio and you deal with some
Bullshit.
crazy things and crazy people. And then you learn very quickly what you will and will not tolerate.
Mhm.
And so now I've gotten to a point where like I can smell it.
Yeah.
I have like a feeling about it and I sort of like have priced myself out of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And that first year was extra crazy because you're dealing
Oh,
like
yeah.
people like canceling weddings, can't have a wedding, rescheduling weddings, like
Mhm.
not
Well,
wanting to
are you-
pay.
Or just have met, and the chances of them breaking up are even
Yeah.
higher. I feel like.
So how was the first year?
The first year was crazy. I'm not kidding. I think we did 50 weddings our first
Wow.
year, which
Full
was not full. No. I of all different. Like I offer full, I offer partial, and then I
That was
offer
20 or 21.
21.
Okay.
Oh my
So our
goodness.
first full was like 50 weddings, and I think it's also because I did this a little bit prior before opening, but like I knew so many people and like
Mhm.
really like pushed myself to get out there, especially during like coming out of COVID and doing all of that. And I was really fortunate, which is great. But again, you learn very quickly what you will and will not tolerate. And every year I sit there and I'm like, I am going to be strategic about this. I am going to not overbook myself. I am
So my question to you is this,
Nope.
right?
That's not how it works.
no, not in this
Because
industry.
planners and venues, they're usually at the front of that, they're at the top of that pecking order, right?
Yeah.
Usually they find a date first, and then they find you guys, right? The
Mm-hmm. You would
venue or the
think.
planner, right?
You would think.
So I guess my question to you is like, how were you getting those 50 clients your first year? Where did that most of that traffic? Where did most of those inquiries come from?
To be honest, I really think it was the Knot and Wedding Wire. I mean, I really do feel like I got a decent amount from there, but also from word of mouth, from different venues and stuff like that I had made connections with. I was good friends with a lot of like catering people and photographers and things like that. So like people would like refer me and do that. But I really do have to say, I feel like I got a decent amount of leads from the Knot. But again, it's such a hot topic now because people are feeling like, okay, we're paying all this money and like, what are we getting in return?
Mm-hmm.
But I think to that end, you also have to be super, again, strategic about who you pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you can kind of smell it. And also
Yeah.
Oh,
now, and also generations have now changed, right? So like
Mhm.
now we have like a whole new batch of people getting married, a whole new like generation to open up to. And from all their seminars on the Knot and stuff like that, they're like, well, you need to court them now. You need to be their friend. You need to slide into their DMs and be like, what's your name? What's your
Big dancing
sign? What's your
TikTok
color?
videos,
Like,
too.
and you really have to do it that way. And so I've sort of tried that approach, but everyone just sort of like
Yeah.
Every, like, I would say for every 10 leads, I think maybe one responds and you get
Yeah.
a call with
Mm-hmm.
for the not now. Where
Yep.
it used to be better back then.
Mhm.
It was much better.
That's why we left.
Yeah.
It worked for years, and then it
Yeah.
didn't. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I always made my money, but it was never super profitable for me. I always, yeah. So
but for us, it was in the beginning. We would book like 5 to 8 weddings a year, and then
Yeah.
we booked one.
Yeah.
And
That's it, really?
Yeah.
What kind of listing?
we had the like first page, right? The
Yeah,
featured
the
listing.
whatever the
Spotlight
most
or-
it's like
expensive one.
500 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
but
was more,
our
like
section is
$600
way
bucks.
more saturated
Yeah.
than
That's true.
like
That is
way
true.
more saturated than other
That's
vendors.
probably why.
And they were also rotating it behind your back.
Yeah.
So here's what happened to me, right, and why I left them. In that 1 year that I had, because I in our first year we signed up with the knot and wedding wire because just the knot because we thought that that's what you're supposed to do. I was new in
Correct.
the industry. I didn't know any better. Right?
Yeah.
I don't have any industry connections. I don't know anybody. So I signed up for the knot, and for that whole year I got one stinking lead. I booked it, and it covered my year's subscription, right?
Mhm.
But I got nothing. It was crickets. And then once it got to my renewal time, the 2 weeks leading up to renewal time, I was getting leads every single day. I was like, I'm not an idiot. You know, the whole year it's crickets, and then all of a sudden around my renewal time, I got like 100 leads.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't book any of them either, right? So
Mhm.
like, how am I supposed to know these are real leads or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
You know
there
what
was
I
a
mean?
lawsuit that they were doing shady things behind the
It-
scenes
it's
with
still
fake
going
leads
on.
and
I'm
stuff.
not saying that
Yeah.
that's what happened. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that's what
Oh.
happened to me, and I don't know if they're real leads or maybe it
Well,
was
there
my
is a legit lawsuit about it actually
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
So you definitely
fake
will.
leads. So
Oh,
don't-
yeah.
yeah. So I can't accuse them of sending me fake leads, but I can tell you I didn't book one of them.
Interesting. I think, to your point about being a very saturated market, and then you have these big companies that come in and they're like, yeah, we'll do your wedding for $500. I'm like,
Mhm.
please, dear God, do not use them. But yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a lot of quality people, but then there's always like, yeah, I got like, $1,000 to plan a wedding for 300 people. And I'm like, what exactly do you think you're going to do with that? Like, are you feeding them like a crumb or like pizza? Like, I don't, I mean,
The what do you call it? Like I see this argument pop up in these Facebook groups all the time because I hang out in Facebook a lot, right?
Yes, we know.
So the thing is, and the reason why we ask everyone, all of our guests, where did you start off at? When you got your first gig. But you're an exception to the rule. I don't think anyone starts that high, at least not for their first jobs. And God bless you that you got it.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I would say that a lot of people that we've spoken with, their first jobs, it's probably about I would say maybe even 10% or maybe 20% of what they're charging now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, let's say they're $5,000 photographers now. They may have charged $500 to $1,000 when they first started. So you're definitely getting what you're paid for. I mean, everyone has to start somewhere. As long as the clients understand that is, you're getting $500 worth of planning. You're getting $500 worth of photography. Moses Cruz, he got 60.
Charge 1%. What he's
He's
charging
getting $60 worth of photos.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, we all have to start from somewhere, and we just can't expect to get that high level of service at that low price point. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the whole thing. And, we won't go into detail with names, but
Just Moses Cruz.
there's so many companies out there that are like these big companies. And I coach my clients on this all the time. I'm like, please, for the love of God, when you're, especially, so like, I should preface it this way too. Full planning, I help you find all of your vendors. Okay. With partial, like I will help you with the more challenging, quote unquote, ones. So for example, hotel transportation and work on design, right?
Mhm.
But you have to find what I refer to as like core vendors, photo, video, hair, makeup, officiant, that type of thing. Cause that's also what I refer to as like personal preference.
Mhm.
Because it's like, I can tell you 5 different photographers, they could all be different styles. I don't know. We go over like, what are the different styles out there? Like, what do you think you like? And then I kind of direct them that way. So when they're looking for their own photographer, I will be like, listen, please look at my vendor list. And if there's somebody that catches your eye from Instagram or whatever, please send them to me. So that way I can tell you like, if I feel like they're a decent vendor.
Mhm.
And there are clients who come to me already with these people. And I'll see their name on the list and I'll be like, oh God, please.
Don't hire this one.
No, and I'm like, why? Because the problem is that like it's this person who came up with this idea to be like, I'm going to hire a bunch of freelancers and I am going of all different like calibers of work. And I am going to just send them out on jobs. And you're working with a coordinator, quote unquote, who has never even probably set foot at a wedding, has no idea what's going on, has no idea like what a timeline should look like and how long these things take and preferences of the actual photographer, who is an artist, by the way. You guys are artists. I always tell my photographer friends, like, I am, like, as long as I sense that you know what you're doing, like, I am not stepping on your toes. Like, I set this up with the timeline and everything, but, like, you tell me how long you think you need or what light looks better, what preferences you have. Like, I'm very open to collaboration. I think that's important. But these people who, like, have no idea what it is, and then they don't even know who's shooting their wedding until the week of, or if not the day of.
We're talking about these big studios. Yeah.
And like, it's so bad. It's just so bad.
It's maddening.
And then if they show up late or like you don't know who to call to find out where
Correct.
they are, like.
I had one recently where the second shooter just didn't show up. They actually have a class action lawsuit against them. And so
just didn't show up.
Just second shooter just never showed up altogether. And so the main photographer told me, hey, listen, like we have 2 videographers here. The one videographer is going to step in and be a second shooter and a videographer.
Was it? Oh, they were all in the same company, photo and video.
Like from the same company, but they're all independent. But also, can I just tell you, I was shocked how much they paid. I'm talking like 10 grand for 2 photos and 2 video.
Yeah, that's on the higher end.
Yeah.
That's a high end for a studio. For studio, for sure.
Solid photo and solid video for $5,000 a piece.
Correct.
Yes.
And I always say, make sure whoever you're booking owns their own company and shoots with the same people. I understand things happen sometimes, right? So like your normal second shooter is sick, has another thing. That happens. But at least you know, like, Ben is going to shoot your wedding. Jenn and Ro are going to shoot your wedding. Karis is going to be there. Like, I know that that's who's going to be there. I know what they're like. I know what their personality is. And I know what the caliber of work is that I'm going to get. Right? Like, that is so important. And when you email them, you might get Karis's assistant, Ben's assistant, whoever. Like, I have an assistant. But I'm overseeing all of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And, like, at the end of the day, the calls are still with me. And, like, that's...
You on the day of, too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So important.
Do you ever warn them when you see like they're booked vendors already, and you're like, oh, just so you're
They're
aware.
already, yeah. No, I try to be nice about it because at that point, like they've already booked, right? They've already lost money, like and I try very hard, and I think as a planner, it's so important because it's like I'll say to them, I'll be like, I'm very happy you hired me because to be honest, like I'm gonna really make sure that this runs smoothly, and my girls and my guys are all trained to be like. Sense the photographer. If I have never worked with them before, I instruct them, sense the photographer. If you feel like they know what they're doing, like let them sort of do it. But here's the shot list that we got from the client. Here's what's important to them. Make sure we like direct because sometimes that's necessary. Like I'm talking people like basic stuff. Like, a photographer came in and the girls all have like their robes unbuttoned and like boobs are out and like, the hair tie on the wrist thing drives me nuts. Like things aren't like legs aren't crossed. I'm like, what is happening?
Just stand here, click.
No, but like silent, no direction, nothing. So one of my girls just like jumped right in and was like, "Okay, girls, like take off your because we know what to do."
Right.
Like. It sucks to say this, and I always say it. I'm like, please hire a professional because I can't do their job and mine. I can't take the great pictures you guys take, but like I could stand there with camera and direct, like sure. But it's just, it's nuts.
We won't know what's gonna come out of these. But,
I was like, I can point and shoot, sure, but like but at least I know like what to look for. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I say the same thing all the time about like. Hire a planner because we're not your planners. Because like
we're
with them from beginning to end, so they think we're the planner, and they're always like, "I'm trusting on you to keep us on time and make sure things are running smoothly and people where they need to be." And I'm like, "That's not my job."
Yes,
Jen, please,
gonna make it
for the people in the back, say that again. What are you not? You're
the planner.
Okay, good.
We're not the planner.
And I do the role just because it makes my job easier to be like, all right, let me grab this, make sure everything's looking right, because there's nobody on site to do that. But also like. Then he's all by himself while I'm doing all the coordination and setting people up.
My student actually said that last night too.
Yeah.
They're like, the clients didn't hire me to be a planner. But I was like, listen, if they didn't bring the planner, they didn't hire a planner, you still need to have your shit together.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, like your photo timeline needs to still get done.
I was like, you know when they're running behind schedule, okay?
Yes.
Even though there's no planner, you need to be the professional and kind of guide their day.
Yeah.
Can I also say one thing? Like, I think it's so important. So, like, I always am curious, right? And I always try to direct my clients about this first. I try to be the person who puts their whole timeline together first because I think it's important because I love y'all, but like your day consists of photos because you're not the planner. You don't know that they only have one bus that's doing 2 trips to take the bridal party there in the morning. You don't know that like they have all this other logistical things that are happening where it's like this family is not going to be there till then necessarily. Not saying you guys in particular, but like I've gotten timelines from photographers and I'm like, did you know that they have this? Well, no, I didn't. I was like, well, that's why mine is this way. They're like, because I would have done it this way. I was like, but they also have this.
Yeah.
So that's why I always have like a collaborative meeting, especially with my photo and video team. And if everyone's on the same call, the better, to be honest, because then it's like, okay, like let's all do a meeting of the minds, get it all done at once.
Yeah.
You know, we go through the whole thing from start to finish. And that way you guys get what you want, the time that you want, the time that you need. And I'm sort of able to mitigate all the other outside forces. I think that's so important.
Do you ever get lashback from a photo video
Having it now, actually.
of saying like, this is my time. Like
Yes.
I need more.
I'm
than
sure
this.
you like they're photographers are divas.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
Because like
sometimes.
outside of inexperienced photographers, you might have someone who's super experienced, but they're also turds to work with.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Where-
I think once the day
it's like-
starts,
Oh, yeah.
It's like their show and they run
right.
everything.
Photographers think it's their day because they are kind of important, you know. Like,
But
Yeah,
everyone's
they
important.
are.
But the argument that I make is everyone's important. You can't do this
I
yourself, guys.
I know, but
Well,
some
no,
people
Or, but
don't
also the
think
problem is that the majority of the time they're probably not working with a planner because a lot of people don't.
right.
It's not
that
a regular event. Or it's not a regular thing that happens where we go to a wedding. There's a planner, so if they're not used to it, they're like, "I run this shit," and then when the planner comes up, they're like, "Who the?" F- are you?"
Brielle, let me,
Yeah.
let me tell you something, Brielle. I'm going to let you speak. Well, actually, tell you what. Go ahead. You speak first. You go speak first.
No. And I have a feeling I know what you're going to say. There'll be times where, you know, I actually am going through this now. You know, it's in my contract, it's in my proposals that I will meet with my clients with every core vendor. So venue, photographer,
Sure.
videographer, DJ or band, whatever. Because I want to have a meeting of the minds with that, to go over the timeline, to go over all these things that are like going to get lost in your email.
Yeah.
And so I've got a lot of people who called. I don't do calls. Like, I'm not doing a call with
What?
you. Like, I don't need to. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't need to? I don't understand. Like, how are you going to do your job if that's the case, right? Or like,
It's only 20 minutes.
I mean, really, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
Paying you $5,000-$6,000 or whatever it is.
or
Correct. Correct.
Or more.
Or they'll do my favorite thing, which is like they'll email the client separately without me and be like, do we really need to meet with your planner? Like, is that really necessary? And I'm like,
Oh my god.
All right. Well, I'll tell you. I'll share with you our perspective.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll provide some context. Okay. So, let's say out of 100, let's say out of 10 weddings, out of 10 weddings at least that I shoot, three or four of them will have planners. That's not the mom and not the bride. Okay. 3 or 4 of them will have planners. Okay. Out of those 4, only maybe one or half, like one of them will be useful. The other ones are just
Yeah.
someone with a clipboard.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's probably and it's probably even less than 1. Okay. Right. If so, let's say you make that number even bigger. Right. 40 out of 100 weddings that I shoot will have a planner. Maybe 5 of them are useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the other times they're just moseying around. You never see them hanging out for half the day, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously, just because they're not there present doesn't mean they're not doing something for the wedding. You know, I think there's a misconception that because you pay this planner all this money that they need to be by your side every second of your wedding day, right? No, they might have things that they have to do behind the scenes to help the day run a little smoothly, right? A little bit more smoothly.
Yeah.
But that being said, outside of that, you know, like I will say sometimes I've been very fortunate. The planners I work with, they're amazing. But every now and then they hire someone I've never met before. This is a person who just recently had their own wedding, and they thought that they might want to go into wedding planning themselves, right?
Yeah.
And you know, they don't know their heads from their asses. They just carrying around a clipboard with a timeline, and that's it. And the timeline, I'm looking at it, right? And I'm like, all right, so 3:55, there's going to be a first look, and then 4 o'clock, there's going to be portraits. I was like, is it your first rodeo? Is this your first time doing this?
When they time it to the minute, you're like, really?
You got it down to the most precise minute. You really think this is going to happen? All right, listen, you go ahead and do your thing. I'm just here to take pictures. You know what I mean?
I'll just agree with it. Oh, I see those like extensive ones. I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I know what's going on the day. I'm like, I'm gonna just do my thing.
The common denominator with a lot of these quote unquote planners, right, who don't do very much on a wedding day, it's because maybe actually a lot of times they had their own wedding and they thought it was a lot of fun, and they decided that
they could be a planner.
They could be a planner, right?
They also probably use the term day of coordinator, not planner. I actually correct people all the time. I'm like, I'm not a coordinator.
Yeah.
I'm a planner. It's different.
Right.
It really is different.
I remember when I tagged you.
I was like, no.
For some reason, when I made the post, I was like, I feel like Brielle's gonna be the one that's gonna be like, not coordinator. And then like within the hour, she's like, can you change my tag to planner? I was like, I got you, girl, no problem.
Yes.
And I understand why, because it's above more and beyond than coordinating. It's so
But
much
I
more
can count
involved.
on one hand the number of good planners that I've worked with. You're definitely one of them.
Oh, hey, thanks.
Okay, but I can count on one hand the number of good planners I've actually worked with. Like they're on
There's
top of
also
it.
good ones, but the way they treat vendors is like they get the job done, but at everybody's
They're
expense.
nasty.
Yeah.
I had one who marked up my entire contract, the same contract that I paid a lot of money for.
The planner?
Yeah, the planner marked it up. It's like, this is unreasonable. This is irrational. Blah, blah. I was like, yo, I've been using this contract for a very long time. Had lawyers draft this up for me. It's very fair. It's very client friendly. It's like, oh, the photographer shouldn't demand that there's a meal in the contract, right?
Oh, man.
And I was like, all right, whatever. And then it's like, oh, my delivery. She had a problem with my delivery times. She had a problem with, she's like, every photographer that I worked with always put the sneak peeks in the contract. I was like, listen, the sneak peeks are a bonus. It's something
Right.
that
Yep.
I normally do. But in the event that there's I don't know.
What if you get hit by a bus the next day and you're in the hospital for 2 weeks?
Or
Like,
you got like a triple, quadruple.
if I have a triple, like,
Travels,
it's like
personal life.
all the other photographers I work with give sneak peeks within 24 hours. I was like, yo, if your wedding's on a Friday or a Saturday and I got a double or a triple, right? I'm not going to be able to get that sneak peek out to you until Monday at the latest, and your planner's marking up my entire contract in red.
It's hilarious.
I was like, this was the same time when I wrote that video about, or not wrote that video, I recorded that video about like, don't be an asshole if you're working in this industry, because the thing is, we're all in this together.
And we will find out.
Yeah.
We will find out.
Yeah.
Don't be an asshole.
We'll find you.
Don't be a jerk. We're all in this together. We're all on team bride, on team groom.
Yeah.
We just want to make the client's day a little better, a little bit happier. We're cogs.
Yeah.
We're all cogs of a larger machine. We all need to work together.
1,000%. And actually, that's a big thing. And I came from the legal world sometime, you know what I mean? And so contracts is kind of like my thing. And I actually, when people ask me that on a consult call, they'll be like, will you help us with contract negotiations and things? And I'm like, well, here's the thing. I'm going to read the contract and I am not going to analyze it to the point where I'm going to make edits unless I see something that's very strange. Like if the photographer is like, I don't know, bride must be 125 pounds. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Have you seen
But
that?
like, we'll talk about that.
Goodness.
But
We
not
know
surprised.
somebody that does.
Your friend.
Not my friend.
Yes, your friend screens her clients. She stalks them on online
But
to
they're
make sure they're
legit
good looking.
people that does it. Yes.
crazy, isn't it? Yeah. But
sad.
if there's correct, if there is something that's like very strange, then I'll be like, this isn't really typical. But I look for typical language, and if I see typical language, then I'm never gonna be like, let me give you a marked, like, absolutely, that's not my role. Like, especially if it's somebody that I'm recommending, like, I tell them all the time, like, I've read this contract a million times. I've worked with them a million times. I can guarantee you the caliber of their work because I've worked with them so many times. And so, like, I think that's wild that a planner would, like, go through your contract and give you feedback like that.
Yeah, hard time. And come to find out, she was new in the industry. She was, I guess, trying to make her
probably
mark
why,
and stuff. And I was like, you listen, especially if you're just starting out and you're making all these enemies right off the bat. But outside of your friend, I think there are at least maybe 2 photographers in our market.
We know a photographer that
Screens to make sure that the clients look like Barbie and Ken.
So our friend, 2 of our friends previous brides were in the bridal party. And then one of the bride who was in the bridal party dress was, I guess, a little off color. I don't know. She got off color
Ivory
dress,
or something.
Yeah.
Sort of
Everyone was like, well, let's say, I don't know, pink.
beige,
And she was
champagne.
like, little off pink. The photographer told to leave. Yeah, your dress is off color. Leave out of my photo. She made her cry on her wedding day, and she was not in the photo.
You see,
The bride was not in the photo on her own wedding.
No.
The bridesmaid,
One of our
bridesmaids.
people.
Oh.
She's actually cousin of the bride.
No, that's sister-in-law.
No. They're cousin.
Wait, so the bride didn't say anything? Like, she's my bridesmaid.
Yeah.
She needs to be in the photo.
I guess she really like wanted the photographer.
That's what
It's like
happens.
having that like
Yeah.
celebrity.
because it's a
Yeah.
celebrity photographer. Like, oh my god, he's gonna make this photo perfect. So yeah, so she
He-
literally
he,
cried.
But she made fun of her for being overweight or something like it too.
Well, I will say this. I mean, it's handy being a planner that can also do hair and makeup. Like I can, and I should say this. I don't do hair, but I can style hair. So like if your hair is already up, I can fix it. If your hair is down, I can curl it. I can do whatever to it. And I end up doing that a lot in my fanny pack of
I'm
Mary
sure.
Poppins things.
Yes,
I've
your
got
Mary
all that
Poppins
stuff,
thing,
right?
yeah.
But there have been days where I'm like, your hair looks fabulous. And then I swear to God, by like, ceremony time, I'm like, what has happened? I'm like, what has gone
Especially
on?
now
roller
in this
coaster.
heat. Oh my god.
Yeah.
This heat has not been helping.
No, I mean, to that point too, like, you can't control how much the person's gonna sweat or run around
Oh,
or
man.
We
the
had
weather.
our most sweaty bride like 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
it's the
I
worst.
felt so bad for
They
her.
recurled her hair like 4 times. The bride
Yeah.
kept going back, recurling it, but
The
she
hair
was
was
just.
the hair was stuck to like her chest, her back.
The
I had a bride
worst.
in a ponytail. That was her look.
Yeah,
That's perfect. I love that.
Updo is-
Especially if you're
Yeah.
doing
No,
it.
forget the updo. It was just a ponytail.
just a
They
party
went-
pony.
Summer.
Party
Yeah.
pony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she had a curl.
Curl, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
better
the
and
best.
cheaper than you pay all that money and then
Yeah.
it falls out
Yeah.
Well,
later.
still a hairstylist doing it though.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying it's still like it's a lot more time to do all those curls and then it just falls an
Yeah.
hour later.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and it's not the hairstylist's fault either.
It's just, it's just,
This is your hair,
it's
man.
just life.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's
I
true.
mean, there are some that could just.
And
I mean,
you
there's
know-
nothing you can put in the
Spray,
hair,
like-
like hairspray the hell out of it. It won't stay.
It doesn't matter. It depends on
Yeah.
the person's like hair texture and the heat and the weather and like what they're doing. Like,
It helps a little bit. It's,
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
no. I
Yep.
mean,
The
it
whole
just,
room is
It has like a
baggy,
Lego hair, just like
yeah,
Helmet.
doesn't move.
Yeah.
It doesn't move.
This
sure.
this
Yeah.
year, this summer, I felt bad for a lot of brides.
This
like, that
summer
we
was
had,
brutal.
yeah.
Oh,
But I don't know that struggle too much because I don't do too many summer weddings and stuff. So that's why I
also,
don't know.
you're a male that really
Has no
don't
hair.
pay attention to
Mhm.
what female style is supposed to look.
Right.
To super curly, to flat, you probably don't even
You know,
notice.
he's like, your hair looks great, and it's like a mop.
Like, oh my god!
my God, it's so funny.
Hair still looks nice.
So funny.
You're like, what was it supposed to look?
Ay. So we've talked a lot about like, crazy things that have happened like amongst vendors, but have you ever fired a client?
We have, yeah.
Mhm.
After booking, have we?
Ben doesn't Ben will see like the biggest red flag you will see like flying in the sky, and he'll still be like, "That's my client."
It's like a challenge.
He sees all the
Challenge
good
accepted.
all the
He
positives.
loves it. A sea of red flags. Come to me.
and then a year later, he's falling asleep, cradled like a baby,
So
No,
funny.
I've said no
because they
3
taken
times.
every inch of his soul.
He only sees dollar signs.
No. I have said I say no up front. Like if the flag is red enough, I will say no up front.
Mhm.
When they ask for a discount up front without anything, right? That's a no immediately. That's an
Yeah,
immediate
for
no,
us too.
right?
But I guess for us, I decide per venue usually, date and venue. Even though if I'm available on that date and if it's the venue type of a venue that I don't want to like, then
So
I
the
would
venue's
just,
a red flag for
so
you.
I
Some
scan
venues.
it like I
Yeah, some
scan
venues
them
attract certain
before.
types
Yep.
of clients.
So I scan them before that way, but
But you've never fired anyone after booking.
I don't think so. I don't think we
Really?
After we've taken a booking, no. We consider that our lesson. Like, this is what you get for booking this red flag
Yeah.
client, right?
And then
But-
how their inquiry form is. That's
so
where
we screen ahead of time, like how they ask, right? How they put the inquiry form. If they come off right off the bat asking for a discount, they're out. Okay.
Yep.
I don't even I'm not available. Sorry.
I have a
Venues.
mentality and a rule that you're gonna meet me halfway first, right? Don't just ask for a break just for the hell of it, right? But if I see that their budget was low and they're stretching it for us, right? Then I'll work with them. I'll say, all
Right
right, cool.
after meeting.
Yeah. Like that's the rule I have. Like, don't just come in there and say like, "This is my budget. What can you do?" I
Right,
can
right.
help
Of
you.
course.
So
we
who
need to
did you-
get to know each other first.
Who'd you fire?
Oh boy. Well, I've had a lot of crazy situations happen to me, unfortunately. And this is, again, goes back to like your first year in business, right? So I fired a client last year, and it wasn't actually the client's fault. It was actually, and I actually now have a provision in my contract, because when I have family members who think that they are wedding planners.
Like Momzilla.
So long story short, this particular client couple, very sweet, they were planning an outdoor tented wedding, which is a whole other beast. Okay. I'm basically an architect. I have to get all of the people who are reputable. I've literally planned a really successful tented wedding during a nor'easter across the street from the beach. Like, I consider that my like biggest accomplishment probably. And so I know all the things that can happen. I know that you can blow out a generator with a coffee pot. I know that you can short circuit a DJ if you plug too many things. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that can happen. And I am not trying to upcharge a client by being like, you need this size just because I want more money. I have no skin in that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I am not suggesting this because I want more money. I'm not getting anything from that by telling you need a certain size. And this particular wedding was going to be in a place where it was like a state park, quote unquote. So like you had some structures and stuff, but it was for the most part a field. Okay. So no lights, little, open field.
Plumbing? Any plumbing?
Yes, but no. We'd have to get an additional situation happening, right? So I said to that, they wanted to have the guest park in a huge open lot in the middle of the woods. Okay. And I said to them, you're going to need lights on shepherd's hooks or some sort of something, because people can't be walking an unleveled field to go to their cars after drinking all night. I mean, they shouldn't be driving at that point either. But like, but like at the same time, like again, coming from a legal background, I'm like, they're going to twist their ankle, fall, and it's going to be a problem.
Yes.
It's not safe. So I made all these concessions in an email, and I was like, listen, like, you need to do this. You need to do this. We need to talk to the tent company about this. Clients were like, yeah, we understand. And then I got an email back that the bride's parent wanted to talk, and we were talking, and we're on the phone, and they were like, so I don't know if you know this, but it's going to be a full moon that night. And so
what about it?
Like,
it's going to be well lit.
Lit. Like it'll be fine because it'll be a full moon.
Half hour to adjust to the moon.
Oh
like,
my
And I was like, have you heard of a cloud?
Are you serious?
Yeah, no. I'm being serious. She didn't want to pay for lights because it was going to be a full moon that night.
Goodness.
Dead serious. Like, and I was like,
you're in luck because I'm a werewolf. I know it's going to be a full moon.
it was ridiculous. She also didn't want to pay for an additional generator to power the kitchen. And I said, I have literally seen an industrial coffee maker take out an entire grid, an entire house from a house wedding that has like more than enough power.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, if you want to risk that, that's fine. But I don't. Like, that's my reputation now because I've advised you and you're saying no.
How much would that have cost, that solution?
The extra generator?
$500 for a generator and then lights,
Yeah,
rental,
like
maybe another
probably
$2,000.
like altogether, like probably $1,500, maybe a little bit more or less depending on who you book.
Per
But
day.
it depends on like, if you have everything on one rental order, multiple rental orders, different things like that. But to be honest with you, like the fact that we're fighting about this over a full moon for lighting, I was like, oh no. And then like they would call vendors after I would speak with them she would double check my work. And I would find out from my vendor friends, like, hey, just so you know, like this is happening.
What do you mean?
Like I would get a quote and I would present it to them and they would call that vendor and be like, so I know that she got this quote, but like, do we really need everything on this quote? And like, did she tell you about this? Did she tell you about that? Like just wild.
I get those bombs.
That's it. I'm done.
Yeah. So and that was the
those
thing. And
bombs.
so like, we were just about to have a meeting actually, and I'll never forget this because I literally felt sick and I was like, this is really going to affect me because it's really sad because it wasn't the couple. Like the couple like knew the level of nuts or the level that this person was, I'm trying not to say too much because I want you to use this. But like, anyway, and I got an email and she had emailed another vendor with the clients on it and everything else and was like, so, we're going to rely on the professionals here who have done tented weddings a bunch of times and, you know, deal with the tenting all the time to tell us what exactly we need for electric and blah,
The
blah,
bride
blah.
wrote this?
No, the bride's parent.
The mom.
Mm-hmm. And like basically being like, Brielle's not a professional. We're going to rely on your response, like for what we really need here.
Like the tent rental company.
Correct.
Oh my god.
And I was like, that's it. And so I emailed everyone and I was like, I'm not doing this. I was like, you've clearly now went above what, like you're undermining me. You're trying to make it seem like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I am a professional in this industry and I'm not going to be having a wedding that's going to have problems that are then going to get blamed on me because you're going to have a problem here. It's also not safe.
Right.
No.
Like I hate to say that, but like, and be like over dramatic, but like you don't have lights. Like, I'm sorry, what?
No.
And so it's just ridiculous. And so long story short, I had a meeting with the clients and I said to them, listen, I was like, at this point, I've done pretty much everything for you. Your wedding's in 3 months. And at that particular venue, you can't have a wedding there without a coordinator or without anybody.
Okay.
So I said to them, I'm keeping all the money you've paid me because I've done a shit ton of work on this. All that's left is like XYZ. Take your additional money, go find somebody who's going to just take what I've done and run with it.
Yeah.
And to this day, I would love to know what happened, but I never could find out. And it's wild. So I fired that client, got really close on a couple other times because it's sometimes it's not even the client. Sometimes it is the client. I mean, I could tell you another crazy story, but like people calling me because they didn't like a band contract at like 2 o'clock
What's the
in
band
the
got to do
morning.
with you? What's it got to do with you?
Because, you know, I recommended the band. So I, you know,
I guess
It's your fault.
this particular client also wanted like all the vendors to sign NDAs and all this other nonsense. And they weren't like anybody.
a
like
lot of
that.
those people will not sign the NDAs.
No, it
Yeah.
was great. But that's your work. That's your work. And I get that. You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, but
Yeah, I don't get my problems till after delivery.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
I'm
on the
sure
actual
that's fun.
day of, I don't get too many headaches on the day of. Yeah. Because I try to nip that in the bud early on, but I don't get the problems until after delivery.
Mm.
I said we've all got to the point where we kind of see these red flags in advance. We kind of know where those like red flags will go. So we just like turn them away like right off the bat.
What are your
but-
red flags as a photographer?
Asking for
One.
discounts.
Yep.
Well,
Venue-
discounts?
venue.
Well, I feel like that's everyone nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, like
But
if you're
right off the bat, that's their first opening valley.
But you know, I have to say this. I don't think, and I think this is a big, important piece. I don't think people who are planning weddings know that it's an insult. Can I tell you that? I really feel like people are like, well, should I ask for a discount? I'm like, no, it's a huge industry no, but I don't think they realize sometimes. Like, I think that they think this is like a haggling process.
There's
And they
a
don't.
certain way to go about it.
Oh, 1,000%.
As long as, like I said, if you're like, hey, this was my budget and cool, we'll work something out. Meet you halfway or something.
Yeah.
But there's some cultures that just right off the bat, like, expect the world for a certain price because their cousin paid this, and those are the ones you gotta stay away from. Not the ones that are just like, you know, everyone tries, right? Everyone's like, if they want to save a couple $100, it doesn't hurt, right?
Right.
But there's a way of going about it that if they do it the wrong way, it's a red flag for us. Venue, another one.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate because sometimes the staff at a venue treat other vendors like shit. So like, you know, they might be the sweetest couple in the world to work with, but because they're getting married at this place, we won't want to work
We
with
won't
them.
go there. Yep.
A couple other things is expectations. Like if they have a Windsor wedding and they're like, yeah, we don't want to do a first look. We're getting married at, you know, at a church, stuff like that. And church ends at 4:30, but we want golden hour picture. When the expectations are like that, you're like, what the fuck? Like, that's not going to work. Like everything's going to be nighttime.
Yep.
Do you find that people know all this information when they're going to book you? Or do you feel like you run into that problem that you just talked about afterwards?
It's usually we're like the ones that bring them back down to earth and tell them like, you know, there's not going to be any sunlight.
Yep. There's no
And
daylight.
then that's when they start to realize. But then others like, they don't understand that. They're just like, what do you mean? Like,
I want what I want.
yeah.
Right.
You know?
My favorite is when I have somebody who is like, oh God, this was such a good one. So they'd hired this photographer, and this photographer was very sepia toned. That's kind of
Sepia
Oh, we got
photographer?
to sepia
yeah. Like very sepia toned,
Can't get away
very
from this.
like vintagey, I guess you could say the pictures were.
Yep.
And she made her photo inspiration board, which at the time was like a newer thing that clients were doing. Like, hi, I found all these pictures on Pinterest that I want to replicate, right? And all of these pictures were light and airy. And she's like, can you make sure that he takes all these pictures? And I said, I can. However, you realize that this style is not what they're going to be able to edit, right? Like if their style, if you're looking on their Instagram and every single photo has a style and you're picking that photographer because it's a low budget and you want this particular caliber, you realize you can't have them edit the way you want them right? Like that's a huge thing that I have to educate my clients on. Like if you're looking for a photographer who shoots light and airy, go with a photographer who shoots light and airy.
I don't think they really know this.
No.
Yeah, I don't think
they don't.
They think it's like a preset, which in some cases it might be. But
it could be. It's really editing, right? But yellow tone could be brought up to daylight or cooler
but also
tones,
like it could also be the way you shoot. Like if you're shooting for highlights, I don't think you're gonna get that light and airy look. It'll take a little bit more work to get that look. Right. So
but it's the style where we're editing certain style because that's my style, right? Light and airy person, I'm sure they can make it dark and moody too, but that's their style. That's why it's light and airy. But I don't think regular people
can see the difference.
Yeah,
they think like a chef is a chef, right?
Right.
I just need the chef to cook this way. But the thing is, that chef has a specialty. There's something that they're really good at doing. That's what you should hire that chef for. Same thing with photographers.
But
there's
sometimes.
And I hope. I mean, I know that you're doing that already, right? Listen, like, hey, listen, these are the photographers. This is what they do well. And if that resonates with you, that's who you should go with, right? I mean, the thing is, pretty photos you can get anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And all these different styles are all very pretty photos, but you have to find, as a client, you need to find what resonates with you most. All right. You don't hire this photographer to get this different style. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to that point, you need to find a photographer that goes well with your personality.
Of course, 1000%.
Because I say this all the time. I was like, you have to like me as your planner. Like we got to be friends on some level because I'm spending a lot of time with you, and I'm going to be there on the most important day thus far of your life. And the second person who's going to be in your face all day is your photographer. Because not everyone hires video, unfortunately, anymore. But your photographer, they're going to be on your face all day too. And if you're not vibing and they're weird personality, like you have to find that out.
And if you've got an asshole personality, I got just the photographer for you.
Yes. Yes. You know,
not
and
cheap.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And it's funny too, because like something that I specifically do, and it's something I want to do, which I'm probably hit y'all up at some point, but I always have said that I wanted to do like a summit of some kind for couples to educate them on all the things they need to do before going into a wedding. Because
Anna will be nice. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I already have like a venue that's interested in hosting it and things like that. Like I have a lot of things in the works now that I can kind of like do all of my work again.
I'll grab the mic. Don't ask me for discount.
Yeah. And I feel like it's important. I feel like it's so important because people really have no idea, and they need like an education crash course in how to plan a wedding in today's climate, because especially in this area, because it's important.
If you can talk to your photographers, right? And JR can back me up on this, right? If you can just say, hey, listen, how much time do you need? Because every photographer is going to be different. Some only need 30 minutes, some need 2 hours, okay? But if you say, hey, listen, how much time do you need? What do we need to do to make this happen?
But also, what's realistic too? Like, don't give me don't ask for 3 hours. Like, come on.
Right, but like they're gonna ask you, hey, how much time do you need to take care of all these things, right? We have a shot list that has this. How much time do you need, right? And then figure out a way to make that happen. I think one of the biggest peeves that we have is that we're trying to do these family photos, these very important family photos, and these very important group photos, right? And we have someone chirping in our ear, hey, when are you gonna be done? Hey, we got to get them to do a first, a reveal in the ballroom, right?
You got 5 minutes.
But you know
hey,
what?
we want to bustle them real quick.
But that's usually the venue staff that are doing that.
Well, I mean, just anyone chirping in my ear. When I'm trying to get these photos done as quickly as possible. I'm trying to get these photos done as quickly as possible. I'm not a slow shooter by any stretch of the imagination. I'm very fast, right? But the thing is, you got someone chirping, hey, we got to do this, this, and this. I was like, listen, like they were running 30 minutes behind schedule the whole day, right? Now we're an hour behind schedule, right? And like they asked me for these photos. I'm trying to get them done. I'm like, you chirping my ear is not helping me. You know what I mean? Like, what can we do to kind of like find ourselves in a situation where we can both win.
If you work with a good planner, you don't have to go through that.
That's right.
Yeah, they're not gonna interfere.
Brielle, let me tell you.
Go ahead.
Well, no, scratch that. It's not because of the venue.
Ben
Okay?
was like, I want to work there again.
Yeah, 'cause you wanna
I
work
love it
again, right?
there. Don't blacklist
They
me.
attract a
And it's
certain type,
local.
right? But I was working at this venue, very gorgeous venue, right? And they run a tight ship.
Mhm.
All right, they run a very tight ship, and I have no problems with that. But I knew going into this day that the client wanted to do 35 family group photos.
Yeah.
Immediately after the ceremony, no first look, no first look.
No.
So I don't even have portraits with them yet. Our wedding party was 10 on each side. Okay, and she wanted to do 35, and the groom had the audacity to say, "Hey, I want to enjoy cocktail hour."
Oh Lord.
Right? Because I paid a lot of money to come to this venue so I can enjoy their cocktail hour. I was like, and you don't want to do a first look, all right? And this was a winter wedding, right? And the ceremony's at like, I don't know, 3 o'clock or something like that.
And you have no sun.
I had no light. It was freezing cold, right? And, I got to do 35 groups, not 35 people, 35 groups.
We'll
all
talk
right?
about that. in a
And
minute.
these people need to go to cocktail to eat the food, the very expensive food that you paid for, okay?
Mhm.
So you're holding these 35 groups, and it's about 100 people there.
The wedding party as well.
Huh?
The wedding party. You hold them back.
And the wedding party.
too,
Yeah.
So
Aye.
I was like, all right, listen, send the wedding party out first, unless they're in the family photos, right? And then and we'll try to get through these, all right? 35 groups took me 39 minutes, which is not bad.
That's pretty good.
35 groups and 39 minutes. That means 30 seconds in, 30 seconds out. Click, 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 out, okay?
They were all paying attention.
All right?
Yeah.
And then I had 9 minutes to get all my wedding party pictures. I was left with 6 minutes to get the bride and groom. Just the bride and groom, right? And I had the venue chirping in my ear.
Of course.
Hey,
Because they want them to go eat.
hey,
and enjoy
they haven't
yeah.
eaten yet, and we want to do an empty room shot and all this stuff. I was like, yo, I haven't shot them at all yet, right? And then I delivered the photos, and they complained that they didn't get enough couples portraits in front of all these various things. Because at this venue, you have certain areas that are obvious
That you
photo
have to hit.
locations and stuff.
Yeah.
That's
right?
the red flag I was talking about earlier.
In front of the house, in front of the chapel, in front of the
Winter
gazebo, in front of the fountain, right? There's like certain places where you would normally see people take photos and
Yeah.
stuff, right? But the thing is, I got to go through my entire list of poses, traditional poses where you're looking at the camera, kissing, looking at each other, taking turns looking at the camera, right? Half body, full body, all that. I got to hit through the entire list in 6 minutes, right? And they were asking, and I think I told you guys this, like, oh, do you have any more pictures of us looking at the camera? Basically, they wanted me to repeat the same pose in front of all these locations in 6 minutes. And I'm trying to get through the whole list because I don't want to send them a gallery of their portraits of the same exact thing in front of all these locations. Yes, I know that it's, hey, just look at the camera and I'll take that picture. But the thing is, I had 6 minutes. And and I was working with the video. Video didn't get their stuff yet either, right? So with those 6 minutes, I needed to share that 6 minutes with the video team.
No.
So I was just running and gunning. You know what I mean? So what was my point of telling you this?
We can go to Brielle
we need
talking
a
about first
planner.
looks.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
that.
So I actually try to do all of that nonsense for you. So a couple of things when I do a timeline, like I always tell, I didn't do a first look at my wedding. I got married almost 6 years ago and it really wasn't as big of a thing then as it is now. And I actually got married there where you're talking about.
Oh.
And at the time it was just built and weddings were so different 6 years ago. It's nuts.
Mhm.
And so I didn't go to cocktail hour. And so I specifically tell my clients, please, for the love of God, do a first look. When are you going to do your pictures?
Mhm.
So I'll set it up where I give the photographers more than enough to I put 3-hour blocks in my timeline because I'm I don't know if you're going to take 20 minutes for flat lays. I don't know if you're going to take an hour for flat lays. I don't know, and then I'll ask you what do you need from this and we can tweak it. And I'm happy to do that. My thing is also with group lists, I now really educate my clients, please, for the love of God, if we're taking a picture with all your cousins, just do one picture with all the cousins. You don't need to do family A and family B and family C and family D. No. Why? What are you going to do with those pictures? What are you doing with those pictures?
Those families, they get them.
I get that. I guess. I get that.
I'm not
but-
defending them. I'm just saying that.
Yes, this is why Ben had issues. Then he missed that one cousin shot that he was supposed to get and he gets in trouble.
But what I'm saying is don't be bridegroom ABC, bridegroom A and B, bridegroom A just with A, and then repeat a bunch of times. For what purpose? I think my favorite though has to be, we're going to do the TikTok challenge where we're going to take a picture with every table during the reception. What in God's name are you doing with those pictures? Where grandpa has like food everywhere and at a table, like the table
table
looks
shots?
disgusting.
Grandpa can't even get up.
And correct. And like it's dark, the bride's no.
And your centerpiece is like about a mile
Oh
high.
my God,
Yeah,
that's the
no
worst.
one wants to get up for those
No.
photos.
No, it's a
Yeah,
nightmare.
they're just turning
Centerpiece.
around. I'm like,
It's a nightmare. But
Do you require that the photographers get a family photo list, shot list?
I tell my clients, I said, no matter what, if two things. One, you need to fill out whatever the photographer sends you. So whatever, I say it's super important, really important. No matter what your photographer sends you in terms of a questionnaire, make sure you fill it out so they get what they need.
Yeah.
But then I'll also say, if they don't already ask you to do this, I want you to
Yes.
to make a group shot list. I was like, and I literally say this exact line. I'm like, the photographer does not need to know that you want the bride in her dress with a crown looking out the
No.
window pensively. Like
No.
we do
Yeah,
not need
please
that
do not send us
nonsense
that.
No.
It
on your
has to be
list.
pensively.
It has to be pensively, like, but no, but like, you know, we don't need that, but we need like, all right, bride, groom, brother, sister, uncle, Tom, and Aunt Betty, and with names also. Like, who are these people and what are their names? And the reason is because if you don't have these names and you don't have these people, when it comes time to do all of these shots, first of all, they have to be there. My favorite is when they're like, oh, the extended family are going to come at 3 and then they never show up.
right. Yep.
They're on the shuttle at 4.
Yes. And so that's the other thing too that I have to now mitigate and deal with that. And so what I'll do sometimes, I'll work out all these logistics with my clients and I'll be like, all right, we're going to do a first look, which if there's no vows or anything during that time, then I'll be like, all right, 15 minutes or so to do like a quote unquote traditional first look. And then that's up to the photographer if they want more time or not. Then I'll do usually on my timeline, bride and groom, bridesmaid and family photos. And the reason I found, and you guys can come at me if you'd like,
Do it.
is because most bridal party and family are excited at that point that they've seen each other now. Like they're either watching somewhere or like they're really attentive. It's early. We're not drunk yet. We're paying attention. We've got energy. And so I think photographers should use that to get great photos with these people when they're not like, and when the boutonnieres are not dead yet and things are like really nice. And then leave these people and let them go do their thing. And then you can take the bride and the groom wherever you'd like. And you're not carting around 20 people with you all over the venue when guests are arriving, things like that.
Yeah.
And you guys can just do what you want and you have all this free time,
We do that sometimes.
which I think is a good setup. But then I'll have to,
Immediately after the first look?
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, usually that's what happens.
Yeah.
Family bridal party. That's how we do it.
Well, that's how I do it.
Right.
And then I've had photographers who's like, absolutely not. Like, we need to take the bride and groom for portraits right after the first look. Yeah, because that's when they have all the
That's
emotion.
the most important.
Right. And I'm like, I can appreciate that. And well, I'll see if I can make it work. But also, you only have this much time because this is happening at that point or this is happening at that point. And then once I explain it to them, they're like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. But I think if you line it up that way, it's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, get them out of the way. That's usually how I put
While
it.
we're on the topic of client expectations and setting up the schedule appropriately so we can get all the shots that we need, how do you normally set up the order of hair and makeup? Like, is the bride second to be the last or the last to be ready?
It's interesting you say that because I'm going to give you the planner answer. And I'm going to give you the makeup artist answer. So I work with a lot of different companies who do hair and makeup, right? So I'll say to them, I need you. So I have this many people getting ready at this time. They have to be done by, let's say, 12. And if there's any caveats, like, hey, they can only get into the venue to start at 9. They don't want to get ready at a hotel. They don't want to get ready anywhere else. You can only start at 9. What time do you need to start based on how many artists you're providing? Do you have the option to have another artist come in so that way you can do more services in less time? Do we have to talk about that? And then I'll let them make that schedule because some hair and makeup teams don't make a schedule. And the idea is that everyone should be there at the start time and it's just free flowing. Like everybody's going to jump in. That's my planner answer. I will let them sort of dictate that because I usually hope that one of the vendors, hair or makeup, will make a schedule. And so the other person will then sort of like default after that so that there is some sort of schedule.
Yeah.
If there's none, I will sometimes make one because when I do makeup, I always make a schedule.
So is bride last or second to last? Or
I
first to be
usually
done?
do
That
bride
makes
last.
sense, right? To make a
do-
schedule.
Well, at least I do their makeup last because that usually is when or not so much anymore. People don't really want it anymore. But like when those like finishing touch pictures would come in, right? So like I would always try to be pretty much done with her. But then again, if I have a tighter timeline and I know I have a tighter timeline, I'll sometimes start them second to last because then I will be like, all right, well, I want to make sure I have a buffer and I'll use like grandma last because grandma doesn't have to be in the bridesmaid pictures at that time. So it really depends on the day, I feel like.
My biggest peeve is when the bride is second to last and she wants a rope shot. And I can't do anything. I can't do anything until that last girl is done.
Yeah.
And unless that bride is doing a card reading, right? Or we're doing some pose pictures with the dress, which all of that takes maybe 5 minutes. No more than 10, right? But you're not going to get someone's makeup done in 10 minutes, right? So it's my preference to have the bride last. But, everyone does their things a little bit different. Do you guys do a lot of card readings?
Not as much as we used to, I feel like.
Probably like 25%.
Yeah, it's just that, especially if they want to do that rope photo. And I feel like a lot of them, they do want to do that rope photo. Anything they spent time, effort, or money on, we want to make sure that we photograph it.
Well, I feel like I have to tell you, like, I feel like that's going away.
Hope so, please.
Well, like, here's the thing though. I've also had couples lately where like they're doing really cute outfits. Like this one bride had like these adorable, like 20s baby doll outfits for their girls. And I was like, that's adorable. I was like, that's a picture. But like, not the freaking robes.
Or the robes they get from Amazon that don't even fit. Like,
They're not iron.
Good God Almighty! No.
There's creases
or
on
they're
them.
scared to take portraits in it. Like they don't. They're very shy.
Do we wear the leggings? Do we not wear the leggings? Like
shoes on, shoes off. And then they get the same size robe for everybody. Everybody's body type is not the same.
My favorite bridesmaid getting ready photo was when the bride bought dinosaur onesies for all her bridesmaids.
I love it.
That's cute.
And it's so cute. They had paws and everything.
Like that. Capture it.
And a tail and everything.
Yes, but
I was like, that is cute.
Like, I think if you're gonna do, like, I think the days are over where you're like, I have this really like organized robe picture, like, all sitting in the bridal suite together. I wouldn't say it's necessarily over for a certain type of client, but for the most part, like, that is sort of done. They're like, we want like candid photos, and like sometimes we'll just skip that altogether, and we'll just go right into like a reveal when she's in her dress or something to that effect.
Even those.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll ask them, I'm like, do you want to do a first look with anybody besides your significant other? Do you want to do one with your family? Do you want to do one with your bridal party? Whatever the case is. I have to laugh. I have a client right now. She's so funny. She's like, yeah, I think I want to do one, but like, won't they see me anyway? And I was like, well, yeah, kind of. I mean, you're all in the same room. And she was like, but we can also kick them out and then bring them back in. And she's like, I think like, I'd like to sort of just get their reaction. I was like, so like an organic first look. And I literally have in my timeline, organic first look with the bridesmaids.
Because they already know what to do when they turn around.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what
They
we did
fake
for the
it.
first time? We did a groom and mom first look. We've never done that.
I do those all the time.
all the time.
But then again, I attract a certain type of client.
Ben loves
that asks for the
Well,
same.
that was me because she was like just wandering the halls, and I was like, "Do you want to go see your son, like real quick?" And she was like, "Yeah, that'd be nice." She got really excited, and we walked over.
She cried.
Yeah.
Oh,
My groom's mothers, they love their sons.
Anyway, I'm okay not
She
doing
wants the
any
first
of the
look
first looks.
with her kids.
Paris is going to do one of their first look with her our
I'm gonna be
boys
there
too.
the whole time. Okay, I don't need first look.
so
The whole
funny.
time I'm gonna be there.
I'm gonna get them ready.
In between their first looks, I'll be there.
Paris is going to be feeding our sons their first bite of cake too.
So my next question, actually. So now that I'm a mom and I had a son, it's funny. I was working with a really good photographer friend of mine. She and I actually used to be paralegals together. We're really, really close friends. Now we're in the wedding industry. We're doing a wedding. I just had my son. It was my first wedding back, and it's the mother-son dance. And I look over at her, and she is like sobbing.
Yeah.
And she has a little boy also. And I was like, are you seriously like thinking of your son right now? And she's like, yeah. No, she's like, aren't you going to? And it like hit me. I was like, oh, wow. So now every time I am at a wedding and I see this, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, now it's hitting me. So do you feel like you're going to be that too?
Related to your child now.
No,
right?
it's true.
I had
And then because I'm a boy mom, I look at like all the brides, I'll be like, oh, I think if my son marries someone like that, that'd be okay.
Oh my God. That's funny.
It's funny that you're here, but the wedding that we did together, the groom's dad was older gentleman, and during prep, he looks at the groom and he goes, I thought I was gonna be dead. before this day
Oh
came.
my God.
Like he was like, I'm so, I'm old. He was like, I just thought I wouldn't be here. But yeah, everyone laughed and stuff, and I was like, holy shit, man, that's so morbid.
It's so true.
Yeah, the kind of groom dads that I get is like, why are you so nervous? This is only your first one. I'm on my third one.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Special people.
Well, I always can tell, like, if it's the parents' first wedding, second wedding, third wedding, like I can tell because there's a different personality for each type of parent. I'll be like, is this your first child getting married? No, it's my third. You're so relaxed. You're calm. You showed up on time for prep. Great.
And also it's different if it's the son and the first daughter getting married.
Yeah. Oh yes, I keep.
So, do you deal with a lot with momzillas and stuff? How do you cope? How do you manage?
So it's funny because I have so many couples right now where their mom has become a part of the planning process. And sometimes it's a great thing and sometimes it's not such a great thing. And I think my goal as a planner is I always tell them, listen, if you're signing the contract with me, you are my client. Like, love mom, but mom is not my client. Like, I'm here to make you happy. I'm here to do what you want me to do. And so, like, you tell me how you want to approach a situation. Unless mom is great and she's just like literally giving, not crazy advice, basically. Yeah. And I find that with that approach, like I'm with most moms, like they like me. They know that I think I'm better at choosing my ideal clients, I guess is the best way to say it. So if mom's involved, mom's usually like, oh, ask Brielle. Like Brielle will know. And I'm like, okay, great. Whereas like I've had moms in the past that are like that other client I was just telling you about, where it's like, it's a little different. So I think also I've had I tell this story all the time. One of my first weddings in business, I had a bride's mom who, she warned me. She was like, mom's a lot. I said, okay, great, fine. I'm used to it. And so we had steamed all the dresses and mom's dress was also by the dresses that were being steamed. And for whatever, it was like a velvety material, let's say, or like a silk. It had gotten moist from the steamer and it was by the air conditioner. So when mom went to put it on, she's like, my dress is wet. It's wet. Oh my gosh. Like it's ruined. I'm like, the dress is black and it's not wet. Like what is happening? And so literally, it was crazy. And my assistant that day was freaking out. She's like, oh my God, like, did I get the dress? I was like, no, you didn't. She's like, it's cold. It's wet. And I literally told my assistant, I need you to do me a really big favor. I need you to go get a hairdryer and I need you to blow dry the dress. It's not wet, but like she needs to see us blow dry the dress.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We literally warmed her dress up for her to get into.
Oh my God.
And she was happy, but I literally had her dry a dry dress.
I think it's just wedding attached to it makes people
sometimes
crazy.
Yes, I was like, okay. Sometimes you just gotta do it.
But you're also doing a high volume of weddings at this point,
correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, all things considered, you get one crazy a year. 1% is not bad. 99% of your clients are still, they're perfect in every single way. That's the way I look at it. I have a budget about one crazy a year.
Yeah.
This year I've tripled that by accident, but but we're still 97% is still not too bad.
6 months left, Ben. 6 months left.
It's a weird year.
At this rate, you're gonna have 6.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's a weird year though. I will say that. Like it's a lot of different types of people booking and stuff like that. Like I feel like, there's just a different caliber of person too, and like what they want to do, and things are a little strange, and But I feel like I told you, better at like sniffing it out. But I mean, I've had some wild situations. Like I had a couple, very sweet couple, and we did their wedding on like a farm, and the groom's brother was like really sad. Like he was best man, but he showed up like 2 hours late. He was drunk. He was a mess, like, whatever. And no joke, I was in the middle of running like reception stuff. And I look over and we rented a golf cart, which I was liable for because I was the only person who had the key to drive it. And somehow he had gotten the key from another vendor I had given it to so that they could load alcohol. And I look over and best man with girlfriend is driving the golf cart drunk into the field.
Oh no.
And I
like
just
jackass.
Was like, yeah. I was like, what is happening? And so I literally told my assistant very calmly, I was like, can you go over there and deal with that immediately? Because I don't know what the heck is going on. And she's like, huh? And so they literally had stolen like a 6-pack from the bar and went on a joyride in the golf cart.
Was it like 15 years old?
Like 20s, like early 20s.
They're going to get busy. They're going to go
Oh
find a
my
field somewhere and
God.
get busy.
So they were like, you know
They
what?
needed a ride back.
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous. My assistant like literally was like, "What are you doing?" And it's so funny because I have these provisions in my contract, right? I have like a list of client responsibilities, that things that we're not liable for. And every time I have a situation like that, I'm like, and that will be a new clause.
Add on.
And that will be
Not
a new
liable for
clause.
golf
That'll
cart
be a new
incidents.
clause. That'll be a new
Yeah.
clause.
God.
Mhm. Like it's people are
Yeah,
interesting.
we've had to add like sexual harassment stuff on
Uh-huh.
ours too.
Yeah. Wild, right?
Because Ro got sexually harassed, right? And
It depends. Maybe I liked it.
Maybe he doesn't call it that.
it was a mom who had like a palmful and just like a full on grab, right? Not
Yeah.
even just a pat. It was like a full on.
She grabbed my cheek.
Oh my god. That's funny. That's really funny. That's great.
But you're right. If you enjoyed it, it's not harassment if you enjoy it, right?
Oh
I
my
thought it was
god.
funny, but somebody could get offended easily from
course,
that.
yep.
And
Oh my god.
I'm not gonna make a stink out of it either. Like,
Right.
I won't go into too much into this, but I had a client who just really, really terrible couple situation. And they ended up canceling their wedding, but not telling the venue that they were canceling the wedding. And I have all this in writing. But they tried to come after me because they said that I was negligent in telling the venue that they were canceling. And this was like a month before their supposed date. And they were like, our planner was supposed to advise you that we were canceling. And I was like, even if you thought that was true, you were still getting emails from your venue saying, we have to pick your menu. We have to have our final details meeting. We need your floor plan. Why would they be asking you that if I would have canceled the wedding?
Right. So
and
weird.
most people require a written.
Correct. And the
Type of
reason is
written,
because they knew they weren't going to get their money back. I told them that.
Right,
I was
right.
like, here are your options. Well, okay, we want to see that from the venue. Okay, I got it from the venue in writing. I ended up breaking up the contract. It was the whole situation, like I said. But like I've had people like be crazy about that stuff. Former client like literally saw me out in public and like got in my face a little bit at like a restaurant.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
So I've had some really crazy things happen to me.
Oh my goodness.
You
Yeah.
should do like a Teresa Judice and just flip the table over.
You know, it's sad that that's how it's gotten. Like, you know, I think about this all the time and I'm like, you know, not for nothing, but like you're hiring me because you want me to make your life easier in some capacity, right? Why is it so contentious? Why does this have to be so contentious? I don't understand. So yeah.
Wow.
Why?
That's unfortunate.
Wow.
Very, very unfortunate. That was not my first year, my second year, I think, but wild.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm. Wild.
I want the record to state
What do you want?
that
Stop touching me.
I'm so happy that Ro's enjoying those shrimp chips.
Oh, okay.
They're truffle.
The
flavors.
truffle.
They're good.
Black.
They're very hard
shrimp
to
chips.
get. They're limited edition.
Expensive.
Jen, try one.
I don't know.
Yeah, try one.
What
It's
are
truffle.
they?
No,
It's
it's
very
truffles.
truffly shrimp chips.
Look, he's been
Try
going
it.
at it nonstop.
It's good.
Like
Try one.
like actual shrimp?
Yes, actual truffle. No, it's shrimp.
Well, no, it's not
shrimp
actual
flavor.
Shrimp flavored truffle. Try it.
Shrimp,
one.
but shrimp has no flavor.
That's
it's
not
shrimp
true.
flavor. You eat shrimp.
Shrimp has no flavor.
It's mostly truffle.
This episode is brought to you by.
No
I,
shrimp.
I can't read this.
Black.
Black shrimp chips. No.
They really do taste like shrimp.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty good.
And truffle.
And
Mhm.
truffle.
Truffly. Yeah.
Very truffly.
It's very truffly, so I'm done with it. I was eating that nonstop for like a month.
I was
Like a month?
for a really
I
long
was like, I'm
time.
good.
Yep.
I'm good.
Because they're very hard to come across. So like whenever I see them, I'll buy like 10 bags at the market.
they're hard to
So
come
funny.
by.
No, they're good.
Speaking of truffle, there's a venue, the mansion, Natarar, right? Have you ever eaten there at the restaurant itself?
I have not.
Really
good.
good. You guys
Nice.
should go.
Yeah.
Have you ever been at the
Yeah,
restaurant?
we went for
for
anniversary.
anniversary.
Yeah.
They have truffle pizza,
Oh wow.
We had it.
and it's
so.
it's basically a flatbread with truffle oil
Truffles.
and stuff, right?
Wow.
It's the most
All
expensive.
truffle.
It's the most expensive pizza I've ever purchased.
$30 pizza?
Oh,
$60 pizza.
Oh, we didn't have
Oh no, we didn't get that.
$60 pizza.
It was
Do
a
yourself
$60
a favor.
pizza.
Just eat the one at Perona. It's free.
Oh my god.
When
Well,
you're
I
there.
don't have platinum status like you guys do. You know.
It's so funny.
But treat yourself sometime when you have some free time, when you get a sitter or something. And it's really good. The dining experience there is amazing.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I've heard really good things. I've never worked there and haven't been to the restaurant. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite new, like, I know they've been around the block for a little while, but I didn't shoot there until recently, like maybe about a year or two ago. And I was like, this is incredible. This is
Were you
amazing.
second shooting for Karis?
No, this was my wedding.
Karis, was it really your wedding?
I don't second shoot with her that much, guys.
That was funny.
I don't second
Your
shoot with her that much.
introduction.
But she's been what do you call it? Poaching my venues and vendors for the
Right.
longest time. You know?
That's hilarious. That's actually hysterical.
Is your husband involved in the business?
You know, I always say that I want to retire him so that way he can help me run the business. To be honest, it's so funny because it's like free labor, right? Quote unquote. My husband, he actually works in the medical fields, completely and totally different from what I do. But his dad is a master carpenter, and so he knows how to be very handy, and like he's built me a million things over the years.
Awesome.
So I always said to him, I was like, listen, like, can't we just become like the Chip and Joanna Gaines of the wedding business? Like, I'll plan it, and
More
you
shiplap.
can build it. No, seriously. And I was like, and that's what we'll do. Like, you'll do production with your dad,
awesome.
and like, you know, he's built me bars, he's built me a bunch of stuff, and I have all this stuff. I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with it. But you know, I say this to him all the time because he hates his job.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't say he hates it, but he's always like, and it's funny because when I told him I was doing this, he's like, are you nuts? Like, you're really gonna
Go on a podcast?
No.
Oh.
No. He's happy about the podcast. No. He's
Are you
happy.
sure you want to go on this podcast?
So funny. No, he's happy about the podcast. He said to me, he was like, are you sure you want to like open your own business? Like, are you really going to actually, like, you're really going to do this? Like, and you're going to quit your full-time job? And I was, which I didn't do until I was so booked that I was like, there's no way.
You need to.
And, you know, so he was like, are you sure? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, it's crazy how much like it's changed. Like, and it's more than I could have ever imagined you making. And, you know, it's wild.
Yeah. I mean, I know we talked a lot of like, you know, getting terrible clients, working with terrible vendors and stuff. But at the end of the day, we're very lucky to be able to do this for a living.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of, because Lord knows, I've done a million different kinds of jobs in my life, you know, and this is by far my favorite one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do have a question for you. How can we as photographers make your job easier?
Ooh. Okay.
I
Don't
like
be a
that
jerk.
question.
I like that question too. I feel like here's a good one. Just being open, and I'm not saying with all planners, because we talked about how there are planners out there that are coordinators, right? There's a difference. But like when you hear that somebody is working with a planner, just be like open, I think, to working with them. And if somebody's a little bit newer, being like, you know, not for nothing, but like, I appreciate what you're trying to do here, but I do it like this. And maybe you're going to enlighten somebody like that. If it's someone like myself, where like I do timelines all the time, and like I know that this is something that, you know, I usually get good feedback from photographers, just being open to like working on a timeline that maybe is not necessarily what you thought it was going to be, but like that, you know, is going to work for this particular situation. Because I think that a lot of times people hear the word planner and they're like, oh man, they've got a planner. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, because some of us are not great, right? Like some of us, you know, they're like, oh man, like a planner. And then sometimes it's like a really bad experience. But I try to tell my clients, like, I'm not here to make anyone's job harder. And we're all on the same team, like you were talking about before too. Like, this is because you hired us to do a job. Again, it's your wedding day. Yep. Like, should be a very important day, a very happy day. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing. Like right now, like with my photographers, they're like, what do you mean? Like, this is the timeline. I'm like, this is the timeline. It's like,
this is what's happening.
This is what's happening. And like, if you would like, you know, and again, I have this meeting with everyone and the client, so the client can understand what's happening. Because again, they don't know. They've never done this before. Unless they've been at a wedding, and even then they don't know. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing I'll say is like, just be open to working with a planner. And like, if somebody seems a little bit more green, you'd be like, you know what, like, I appreciate what you're doing here, but like, I feel like this would maybe work better, and just teach somebody something. Cause at the end of the day, like, again, we're all there for that person. And like the next time that they work with another photographer, they'll have another skill to help you guys out and pay it forward.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah. And vice versa. What can I do to make your lives easier? I try.
Just giving us enough time for photos. That's all.
Yeah. No,
I mean, that's it. Like, give us more than 5 minutes.
No, like,
I mean, feeding us is nice, but like,
for us, because the way we approach the family photos, we show up with a list. So like sometimes there's some planners who like to do that portion of the day. And for us, like when we tell them like we got it, sometimes they have a little push, like, no, I'm gonna stay here and do it. Just trust us to do it because we have our list and just go. That'll free you up to go take care of something else instead of just standing there watching us. So we've had that happen, and I feel like sometimes if you just trust us, that we'll do the list that we have.
Well, she doesn't know who's seasoned and who's not.
No, but if I have the list right and I'm checking off,
oh, okay,
you don't need to be there.
You know what's interesting is I tell my photographers this all the time, especially if I haven't worked with them. I'll be like, as soon as I sense that you know what's going on and that you know how to do something like that I feel like you're comfortable. And also that you have some authority to you, meaning you can run those
Just
shots.
take charge,
Then I'm fine. Then I will leave you alone all day. You do whatever you want with that couple. It's fine. Problem is that when I have someone, and I have the best photographers that I work with who talk like this, and they're really just very quiet,
They're artists.
and that's fine. But when you're doing group photos, it can't be like Uncle John, Aunt Teresa. Like it can't be that way. And so
that's true.
To your point, I always tell my planners, if you find that that's what's happening with the photographer, offer to help them. If they want to continue to do it, fine.
Yep.
Just be around to see if like they're moving quickly
enough. Yeah.
But if not, then you can jump in and be assistant. But as soon as I hear from you guys, oh no, we've got this, and you're like, all right, guys, like come on, I leave you all alone. Like I'm like, all right, enjoy.
Well, that also made us think about another perspective on it. Of like, I could imagine, like you said. So now I'll probably be a little bit more open to having them there. Like, all right, cool. You can hang out with us if you want.
Yeah.
Because like you don't know like you said, the type of personality it takes to wrangle. I have Jen. Jen pushes people. She screams at people. So like
That's me.
stand behind.
She projects.
And when we work at Perona, she grabs the mic and she calls the names.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I'll stand behind. If I was doing it alone, it'll be a nightmare.
Yeah.
I could definitely see the personality that it takes a certain personality to
wrangle
those,
people because and I imagine you've probably encountered photographers who are having a mental breakdown because they can't. It's just too much for them. It's overwhelming.
It's
I've
overwhelming.
worked with photographers as a second shooter, and I've seen them crumble.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at them like, what the fuck? Like, there's nothing to be stressed about here, and they're just folding.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so funny because you need to be able to command a room to be able to do it. And you need to have projection. You need to borrow a microphone. You need to do what you need to do to be able to get, especially if you have like 40 to 50 people that you're wrangling with these crazy lists. I mean, I encourage all my couples to like be like, listen, shorten that list as much as you possibly can. It'll make your day just so much better. You should do a whole topic on like how to make your day better.
Yeah.
Yes.
How to make your day
For your
better.
record, it's about a 1 minute per group.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 minutes at the long end, but about 1 minute per group.
That's what we tell them to scare them too, because
No, I tell them 4 minutes just to scare the shit out of them, and they'll give me the shortest stuff.
yeah.
And then when they give me one that's not too long, I'm like, if you want to add a couple more, you can. And like this is an exaggeration about being 4 minutes a shot.
The
but
most we've ever gotten was 130.
yeah,
130 combos?
Stop.
Yeah.
Are
Why?
they like repeating or different?
It
But
was
different
like
combinations.
the whole world in this list.
and
like,
different locations.
we
Same
ended up-
combos, but different
Are you
locations.
serious?
Yeah, we had to schedule 2 hours for this, and we only made it up to 90 something.
90 something, yeah.
All of them too, or family?
No, family.
Well, family
This-
wedding
this-
party.
This is not even portraits for the couple.
Mm-mm.
Oh
And-
my gosh.
It got to the point where we're like, we are out of time. We have 10 minutes for pictures of you two.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do? And they gave us 10 minutes for portraits, but we were there just standing there like a statue. Just,
I had a bride who was insistent, just like I need to get everything on this list. Okay, you're the boss. Okay, and I also had like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get it done. I think the bride tapped out after number 30 or 40 or something like that. She was just done after 40 because it was just such a huge hassle to get all these people to pay attention.
It's photo fatigue. And I see most of my couples, and I'll tell them ahead of time, you're going to get pissed off. People are not going to be listening. Aunt Sally is going to be in the bathroom. You're going to have to redo a picture. You're going to have people not, it's like, it's really ridiculous.
it's
So
stressful.
think about the pictures you really, really are going to want, and they're going to go on your wall, and it's super important, but then do a group picture of everyone else. And that is it.
Our photographer, I mean, we all hate him, but he did one thing really well. For the group photos, he did, all right, all the family on both sides, one photo. All the friends
That's how
in one photo.
That's how Koreans do it. That's how we do it.
2 photos,
That's
2 big
it.
group photos,
Yep.
that's it. The poses were dumb as hell, but okay, whatever. I mean, he had the brides on their knees and stuff. I mean, not the brides, the female cast on their knees, just like upright. Like,
Oh, Lord.
like just looking at the camera. I was like, they look like little Oompa Loompas and stuff, right? I was like,
Funny.
who poses them like this, right? Looking back at it, but whatever. We didn't know anything back then.
Yeah.
But at least we got it done out of the way, and we were able to enjoy the food.
That's the whole point, right? I mean, that's really like
Yep.
what is, and I work with my clients too. I'm like, what do you want to get out of your day? Well, I want to go to cocktail hour. Okay. Then we need to do a bunch of things then.
Mhm.
All right. Well, it's really important that I get these family photos. All right. What's also really important to you? Like, do you like sunset? Do you not? Nobody cares about
We
sunset
should make a chart,
anymore.
like where you just follow your path.
Yes.
Do you want sunset? You go this
Yeah.
way. Right. Are you allotting time? No, we go this way.
Yeah.
Do you want a night shot?
Yeah. Exactly. Where do you want the night shot?
Yeah.
You can
Are
tell
we leaving for photo location?
You're gonna tell your DJ to shut the fuck up so we can do our job?
Oh my God.
No, I had a DJ follow me out for night shots, right? I was like, dude, what are you doing out here, right?
What are you doing now?
Yeah, what are you doing out here? If you're here,
gotta
who's
move
running
box.
this, right?
He's like, I'll bring the party to you.
I was like, who's running the booth if you're out here with me, right?
God.
I literally, the bride and groom, they wanted a night shot, and I was only going to borrow them for like 5 minutes or whatever,
Yeah.
right? He followed me out to make sure that I only took 5 minutes because apparently the party couldn't go on without the bride and groom.
Did you communicate that with him beforehand?
I was with the planner. There was a planner there,
Okay.
so the planner was out there with us.
Okay.
But do I need to communicate that with you?
I-
With entertainment?
If I know the entertainment, I'll tell them.
Well, if you know that.
Because there's a couple of things on why they've told me they could be playing one of their must play songs during that time and they're not there, and then they'll come back to you didn't play this song, right? So
Well,
we
play it again.
we tend to do a good like we tend to just notify, hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna step out for 5
But
minutes.
also, we don't do night shots anymore. Fuck
No.
that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless
It
they
depends
really
on the
want it.
venue.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Right,
It depends on the
yes,
venue.
yes.
We haven't done a night shot in,
some
like,
venues
forever.
lend itself better to night shots than others. Like Maritime Park, Liberty House.
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those with the skyline for sure.
Yeah,
Those
you
are
gotta do a
must
night shot
have.
there.
But like,
But that's easy. Just walk right out. The
Right.
the
Yeah.
balcony's
Yeah.
right there. Like,
Literally a minute. Yep.
No, because in some of the Liberty House, you want to go on that stage in the back because you don't want any obstructions. You get the full
Yeah.
body.
not all the
Mhm.
time, but yes, you can use the balcony if you want though.
There's too many guests there, and
They
there's
move.
some
When
obstructions.
they see the couple coming, they move.
Yeah, whatever.
I think there's so many things too that make me cringe, right? They're like, well, we'll just get these pictures right after ceremony.
Oh my god, I hate that.
no.
Please, God, no.
What pictures? The group photos, like family
Extended
photos.
Yes.
family, yeah.
That's my request. I get a lot of those requests.
Here's how I do it.
It's so stressful.
I tell them, listen, two things. Make sure that everybody who's doing these pictures knows that they are
Mhm.
not supposed to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's step one. Step two is we have the officiant say, if you have been asked
Asked to
to
stay.
stay for photos, stay
That helps a lot.
in
Yes.
your
Yes.
seat. It helps a lot if they remember to say it.
They
Right.
still,
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
even they say they still go off. Wonder.
Well,
I'm gonna
it's less
quickly go
people
say
that
hi to
wander
this
off.
person.
Mm-hmm. No,
It's less people. I'd rather have one than 6 people wander off. you know?
right. And then they're all gonna. It's a nightmare. And by that time, the bride and the groom are spent. They're tired.
Yeah.
They're pissed.
They're
they don't want to take more
hungry.
pictures.
They don't want pictures anymore. Like photo fatigue is real,
Mhm.
and
It
so that's why I tell them get it all done before ceremony.
Mm-hmm. Who
Tell
cares
people
if your
to-
aunt sees you before you walk down the aisle?
Yep.
It's fine.
What are some trends that you see are fading? Like you said, the rope shot was kind of
The rope
going
shot
away a
is
little bit.
fading.
Oh, yeah.
The posy pictures.
What do you mean by posy?
So it's funny because I had a wedding, my most recent wedding, they did a lot of posed family pictures. But to be honest, I haven't had a really crazy list like that in a long time. They'll do like family, like immediate family on both sides, but not like crazy other portraits. So it's
Mhm.
more like, hey, our bridal party is all just going to do some candid shots like in a garden or something like that. They're not going to be, doing poses and
Like
things
hugging
like
and looking
that.
at the camera, sort of thing, right?
Yeah, like stuff like that. The cake is gone. It's been gone.
Yeah. I haven't seen bring the cake out onto the dance floor cut
In
like
forever,
a long
right?
time. Usually it's off to the side now.
It's
Yeah.
a lot easier for us because we could put our lighting. We could bring our.
You could always do it
LED.
whenever you want to. If you're leaving at
Yeah.
a certain time, that's a whole other
Yep.
component that I tell
Yeah.
my clients. I'm like, so you only have them for 9 hours. You want to cut this cake? Like that's going to not be till 9:30. You have them till
Mhm.
8:30. Do you really want to extend them
Yeah.
to cut a cake?
I've seen maybe
Mhm.
4 garter tosses my entire career.
Yeah.
Thank God that's gone.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
like bouquet toss.
Early on, I did it every weekend.
My
Garter toss?
God.
The beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, but bouquet toss I don't see as much anymore either.
Maybe like once
Like
a
usually
year.
after cake, that's usually when they do it. But I don't see the bouquet
Oh,
toss that often.
actually, it's funny you say that. So I had oh God, oh my God. So remember how we talk about that one wedding that's like every year it's like, oh wow, this is different. So I had a couple, very sweet couple. They were 7-day Adventist and they don't dance or drink.
Or eat meat.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So they had hired a huge band for no dancing.
Oh goodness,
But wait, which doesn't make sense, right? So huge
It's like a
band for
concert.
no dancing.
that's like 20 grand.
I
Man.
was planning their timeline out, and this was the first time in years that I did all the things, like all the dances, all the formalities, everyone was a couple that was introduced, which is also a trend that's gone. I tell people,
Yeah,
please, for
bring
the
the
love
whole-
of God,
yeah,
do
bring the
not
one
do
shot.
couple
Mhm.
by couple by couple by
Everyone
couple
comes in
by
at a group,
couple.
as a
Yeah,
group.
no, it's got to
And then
go.
different song each time.
No, it's torture. It's slow torture. No one wants to do that. And so no, it is. It's slow torture.
Have you? Oh no, we recorded this not too long ago. Have you ever done like a Nigerian wedding?
Nigerian, no. Indian, yes.
But Nigerian weddings, those intros, right?
Oh, yeah.
are about like almost an hour long.
Yes, 1,000%.
Eventually,
1,000%.
they'll
One
take
step
3 steps
forward.
forward and 6 steps
And then they
back.
go back.
wait! You gotta, the dance floor's this way.
It's so ridiculous, right?
They go back to where they started
Oh
after
my
each
God.
move.
Oh my God! I've heard about this. But no, it's wild. And so we did all the things. But they hired a band, and she was telling me what to do, and she literally got table games, guys.
What?
Table games,
Like Scrabble?
like bingo.
Oh my gosh.
That's
and like
cute.
stuff like that because they didn't dance.
They did that for her family.
Well,
But
Chinese,
yet,
Yeah.
well,
but-
Chinese weddings don't. There's not a lot of dancing either. It's just dinner.
it's just so it was interesting, right? So it was a dry wedding. It was a Sunday. They weren't really allowed to dance, but also it was the weirdest thing because they did a choreograph. Like the bridal party did a choreographed dance. The bride and the groom did a choreographed dance. They had huge screen. Like this couple had all the bells, all the whistles, beautiful stuff, and a band, but no dancing.
That light.
And she wanted a sparkler photo, which God kill me with a sparkler photo. Like, I mean, I hate to say it. I really hate to say that. Some of them are really nice, but like, come on.
We haven't done one this year.
No, it takes a lot of
Oh.
work.
To do what?
And then everyone's
Sparkler
drunk.
Sparkler
For what?
photo.
Oh, sparkler
Everyone's
photo?
drunk.
Whoever
and-
thought that giving people, like drunk people,
Right,
fire was a
right.
good idea? I'm not really sure.
And the venue most
They
venues
hate
Yeah.
it.
doing it.
I would
Like,
think liability.
They leave it up
I
to
don't want
us.
to be standing there. I don't want to be taking photos.
Yeah, they leave it up to us. Some of them like you're on your own on this. I'm
Right.
not lighting that shit.
Right.
Mm-mm.
All right. So you think sparklers getting lit by drunk people is hard? Try lighting the floating lanterns, right?
Oh yeah.
I think I told you guys this story before. There was this venue, first wedding ever I shot there. It was their first wedding too, the venue's first wedding there, and they were like, "Okay, well, we're gonna do floating lanterns or stuff, or flying lanterns and stuff." And just like I don't know, like 70 drunk people trying to light these stupid lanterns to get
Oh,
them to float
God.
up. And the thing is, like,
Landing on
and they're landing on the neighbors' yards and stuff like that. So the thing is, they already pre-sold this to a whole bunch of clients and stuff. So now they're expecting these floating lanterns and stuff. But the thing is, after the first one, they're like, "Hey, the town's like, you can't do this. It's gonna be a $500 fine." So now they got to pay that $500 fine every time they did it. But they
Oh my
already
God.
pre-sold that, right?
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's what they had to do.
They I had that happen actually with a couple that they just wanted to do it because they'd both lost their parents.
Uh-huh.
And it's an older couple. They wanted to go out on the beach at night to do this, and they lit it, and it went right into the freaking water.
It landed in the water. Well, that's where it would go. Where
No,
else
but
would
like-
you expect it to go?
But I mean,
Well,
like
it
it was
goes
like
up first. It
Yeah,
goes
you gotta
up.
go up.
Yeah.
like it was like
Yeah.
because the wind took it right into the water,
Yeah.
and I was like,
It goes
oh,
up and then
man.
eventually comes.
Yeah.
Well,
was-
it has to come down
In your
eventually.
mind, it's
But not that
amazing,
quickly,
but-
is what she's saying.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's the sparkler photos.
Wedding.
I have a good sparkler story.
Oh God,
The planner put a little sternal to light the sparklers.
a stern.
And yeah. So which was awesome.
Yeah, that's smart.
Somehow it got kicked
Oh,
right into the middle of where they were walking. And the bride and groom are so drunk, they just walk right
Oh,
over. Everyone's
no.
like, oh my God, they're going to catch fire. And luckily she walked fast and it didn't catch fire. And at this point, it's the end of the night. Don't ever do it at the end of the night. This is where everyone's drunk. The groom screams. The bride's parents are right there. The groom, he's wasted at this point. The bride's parents are right next to her. He goes, all right, everybody, we're going to go home and have sex now. and the three of us, like photo, video, we're looking at the bride's parents, and they're just like they wanted to murder him. But this is why you don't
My
do a
God.
sparkler exit when at the end. This is what happens. You get burned.
Oh
You can
my
say
goodness.
remarks like that. Like it was just terrible.
I like. Here's the thing, and I think it might just be because I've just been at this point. Like I actually tell people all the time, there comes a certain point in the evening where everyone turns into a pumpkin.
Mhm.
Okay, no one wants those pictures.
Yes.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
they are just blackmail.
We've literally told them
Yeah,
this.
there's
Yeah.
nothing good
The
comes.
couple-
Nothing
Nothing good
happens
happens
Nothing.
after
after
that
cake
time.
cutting. Nothing good happens after cake cutting.
No. So I'm like, the more things you schedule for later on in the day, the
Mhm.
more terrible y'all are gonna look.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
It's rough, okay? And so
Mhm.
like when I hear like we're doing an actual cake cut, which I don't hear anymore, a cake cutting, a garter toss, a bouquet toss, this toss, that toss, and we're gonna do sparkler photo, I'm like, good God, why? Like just let it be. Have a fun time.
You're
Do
gonna look like
whatever
a
you
crazy
want.
person.
So these,
Like-
these are all the bad trends, or not the bad trends, but trends that are going out of style,
Yes.
right? That we're not seeing anymore. I think that's great. So, what are some new trends that you're seeing that like you're embracing? That like this is
Yep.
pretty good. I like this.
So definitely where it's like the bridal party bomb that we were just talking about before, where it's like
what's
the
bride?
groomsmen all together, the bridesmaids all together for the
Uh-huh.
entrances. Or my favorite, when the couple's like, it's just gonna be us.
Us, yes.
Oh,
We've had
yes.
that.
I'm
That's
like,
the best.
oh, I think everybody, when they hear that, every vendor, I don't care who you are, they're
Relief.
like, yeah.
Actually,
Oh, yeah,
Paris
the
jumps
DJs
for joy.
love
Actually,
that.
she attracts a lot of
I have
clients.
a lot of clients.
Zero
that are-
wedding
yep.
party,
Chill.
just the
Like
bride and
wanted
groom.
to.
It makes
Yep,
sense because
yep.
you're very chill. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Mhm.
Chill.
That's the best. When they're about to
Yeah.
come in, I look around and see the wedding party inside
Yep.
the venue. I'm like, oh my
Oh, yeah.
God.
This
I love
is
this.
great.
Even sometimes bride and groom are already mingling in there. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
go
Oh,
straight
they don't
in.
wanna be
Very-
announced?
Yep.
Do
That-
you
that
know?
happens.
Yep.
I actually had a couple recently, like June. They didn't do a first dance. They didn't do any
What?
entrances and they didn't do a first dance. They were actually already in the reception space and we went right to like a welcome and speeches.
Nice.
Awesome.
It was the
Didn't-
wildest thing.
Didn't want any
No
spotlight
parent
on
dances,
them.
nothing.
Love
I
it.
was
they did
like,
first
wow.
dance, though.
The DJ
first
actually,
dance, though.
it was a good friend of mine, was like, so I'm just clarifying with your timeline here. No first dance. Are you sure?
Mm.
I've never had a couple not had a first dance. And I was like, I know, it's a first for me too.
I have one coming up. This is my second time ever where it's kind of a reverse wedding. When the guests come, they're coming into cocktail, and then it's going to be the ceremony.
Wow.
That's a typical
Jewish,
for a
no?
Jewish wedding.
Yes, it
That
is.
is true.
Yeah.
That is true. You said that. That is true.
They're doing.
I
They're
wonder
probably doing
why.
a Tish and a
That's
Bedekin,
stressful,
right?
too.
You know why? Actually, you really want to know why? So in the Jewish tradition, old school, the couple would have to consummate their marriage.
But that's after the ceremony, though. They can't. They,
So are you saying ceremony oh, duh.
Yeah, yeah,
duh,
that's
ceremony.
duh. Sorry,
Yep,
sorry,
yep,
sorry.
yep.
So if it's cocktail hour first, I think it's because they want people to all be there
For
for
not be late.
ceremony and not be late.
Mm.
That's what I've heard a
Or
lot.
are they doing a Tish and a Bedekin? That's what they usually do during cocktail hour.
Yep.
And that's before
they're
the
doing,
ceremony.
they're doing a
That-
couple things
That's
during
when
the cocktail hour.
That's
Yeah.
Tish and
groom is
Bedekin,
with
Or
yeah.
like a
his
tuba
friends.
signing
Yeah.
too.
The
Yeah.
groom is with the parent, with the fathers, his friends, and they sing and they just take shots. And then
She's greeting all the guests.
But for
Yeah.
sure,
Yep,
but,
yep.
but a lot of these very super traditional Jewish weddings that I do, like after the ceremony, you can't. They have to be left
Left
alone
alone, yeah.
for a little while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if this gets cut or not. Anyway,
It's educational.
Educational. Very much
yeah.
so.
But every culture they have their things, and it's important to know these things.
Ooh, I've got a good question for you because I just had a photographer tell me this the other day. What is your thought? And I don't mean this to be any sort of racial problem, but what is your thought on Indian weddings where they last all day,
South Asian weddings?
a lot of days?
Yeah, I
like,
don't mind them. They're paying me for those hours.
well, that's what I was going to ask you because a lot of photographers that I know will not take them because of two reasons. One, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of hours, and could be like, you take breaks in between because of the auspicious timing and things like that. Or like, because that culture is like you work, like you don't sit.
Yeah,
That's-
we've done
yeah.
a few in the past, and it's not that we're against doing them; is that we price them
Too high.
so high that we always price ourselves out of them.
Yeah.
You guys are the
Um,
same price as I am.
Yeah, but like once we charge like every time we get an inquiry, it's always like 5-figure quotes, right?
Mm-hmm.
They usually find photo and video for that. Usually for
Yeah.
You know what you got to do? you got to offer them save the dates. That's how you book them. Brielle, let me tell you something.
Ben will just give them the world and be like, yes.
So I was like, ooh, 5-figure wedding. They're spending all this money with me. Let me sweeten the deal a little bit. Let me get you some save the dates. Okay. But here's the catch. It's going to be free, but I have to be able to put my logo somewhere on the save the date.
Smart.
Right. So that way it's going out to all your friends and family. My logo's on there. Right. And you know what and I let them design their own. Right. And you know what this couple ended up doing? They designed their save the date, but it was a magnet.
Love it.
The intention was I was going to put my logo on the other side. Obviously, it's a magnet. That's not happening.
But your logo's there. It's against the fridge.
It's facing
funny.
the fridge, you know?
Love that.
No, but yeah, they are good negotiators, and they know how to find good deals, and we just price ourselves out. And it's not that we don't want to do it. Like I would.
It's just
be
it's a
more,
lot of work.
and it's also a lot of work
Yeah.
too. So
16,
it's like
19-hour days. Like,
Yeah.
It's like
So
2 weddings in one.
I just quoted one last week, and the final quote before product was 13. Before product, and it was like 4 days of shooting. But
That's so little.
Have
It
they booked
is. I was
yet?
going to say that because
no, because 2 of those days are like 2-3 hours each.
Just 2
Because
hours.
we quoted it was like a 2-day, and it was like $14,000, $15,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they come
and-
back yet?
No, because they got to look at the numbers. I was like, I'll give you some.
Exactly.
I'll give you some save the dates. You want some magnets? I got you.
We had a friend of ours who's a planner, so she was working with them. She was doing full planning, so she tried to get us and Ben Davis to do photo and video. So we each quoted it separately. She reached out to both of us and said they got photo and video for 2 days for $6,000.
All right, good for you.
So like, we can't compete with that, right? Like,
No.
so
If they're
typically that's what happens
Yep.
in those type of
If they're
inquiries.
purely price shopping, you can't beat.
Because
Yeah.
let me tell you why I quoted as high as I did for this wedding. It was because I knew that the video that they hired for the sister's wedding was minimum 10,000. Minimum 10,000, right?
Don't you love that?
So and I was also at 10 for that wedding, right? So I was like, I know they have the budget for it, and I'm basically giving them $7,000 to find a videographer for 4 days. But I know they have the budget for it. But not only that, my prices only went up just a little bit since the sister, So I think I was being very reasonable, But to answer your question, it is a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
It is multi-days. You are working nonstop. There are some times when there's like a break in the middle of the day. And the thing is, a lot of pushback that we get as photographers is like, hey, you're not going to be shooting for those 3 hours.
They don't want to pay for that gap.
Can we get a discount for those 3 hours or 4 hours and stuff? For me, I don't cut them a break. You just, I charge you a daily rate, and it starts when I take my camera out of the bag till I put it back into the bag at the end.
And that break in between, they're changing, and we're shooting.
I'm still shooting that.
Yeah,
break.
we're doing their second prep.
Right.
So if you don't want it, then it's on you. But we're shooting.
Chinese weddings are the same way. Sometimes there's a little gap in the middle of the day, so we're still shooting during that time.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a couple that's coming up. They're doing I've done it before, like the Chinese tea ceremony.
Right.
And so it just really there's so many different
There's an
cultural
outfit
things.
change.
Yeah.
There's there's just additional stuff you got to do on the day of. So like from a timeline standpoint, it's not too much for me because like when I first started, I did full day coverage. Did you guys ever do full day coverage? It was always like 10 or 12 hours.
It was always hourly, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, for me to go from that to like having to shoot 15 hours for the day, at least I'm getting paid for it now.
Yeah.
The longest wedding day I had was a South Asian wedding. I think we did like 18 hours.
Yep.
After that, that's when I was like, and we were working for a studio. So like, it paid us hourly, but I was like, never again will I associate shoot a South Asian wedding because it's not worth the money, like as a contractor.
Plus they pay you.
But there are a lot of fun to photograph. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of colors,
A lot of moments.
a lot of moments,
beautiful moments.
It's like
Yeah.
it's a lot of things I can photograph. So in that way, I love shooting them, but they are long. It's not for everyone.
Anyone done the ceremony where they're all facing, like they do it in quadrants, facing the middle?
Mhm.
Is that a nightmare to set up, or is
Quadrants?
Yeah.
So it's
like a circle, like
yeah,
and
so
they have seating and quadrants and
like amphitheater seating.
the couples in the middle?
So it's like all broken up. Yes.
Is this a Hindu wedding?
No, any wedding.
No, I'm just saying. Have you done a wedding yet?
Oh, I thought we were still talking about South Asian weddings.
No,
I was
well,
like, what?
Brielle did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I've done it a couple times. I actually did it at Arrow Park, kind of.
Mm.
So at Arrow Park, you know how they have that garden where it's like in the middle, they have that like floral situation happening. I think eventually we did decide that we did on a normal situation, but we were actually thinking like if they were going to get married, like in the center, like in front of the florals, but like have everything go this way, that would be a good idea also. But it's hard to set up. People can't really wrap their minds around that concept because I always try to be like, it's like a fashion show.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at each other too.
So like, and they're like, well, how are the people gonna, sit in their seats? I was like, well, they'll walk down and then they'll go around the row of florals and sit in the front row. And then it's like the whole point is it's this way. It's just so that way people can see everything that's going on from both perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool.
Also, you asked earlier, what can planners do to help us photographers? Sorry to backtrack a little bit. This is just a photography thing, and you guys can agree with me or not. But if you're doing full planning and you have the ability to figure out what orientation the ceremony space is going to be, right? It would help us out a lot as photographers if the sun's either behind the couple or behind the photographer. If it's coming in from the side, we're going to have one person lit and the other person's all blacked out. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. Sometimes when I go to venues and they have these outdoor ceremonies, I was like, they didn't consult with the
sometimes
photographer.
that's their only option.
Yeah, that's out of our control
It's
most
fine.
of the time.
Yep, it is what it is.
It's one of those things where I'm just cursing as I'm editing.
Right.
But I can't
If you
do
have the
anything
freedom
about it.
to,
You can't.
It is something I take into consideration a lot. The biggest problem sometimes is like it's outside forces, like especially if it's at a venue. The other thing too, like I am doing a wedding where it's a full build out on 2 properties for a tented wedding. And ceremony, they actually just told me today they want to flip the opposite direction. So like they will be, so like if this is the backyard, right? And like this is the street, guests are going to come from this street and go down like the aisle, but they're going to be standing with like the street in the background. So they're literally having, because they're like the plants or something on the property like all died and it looks terrible in one direction. There's like construction. So they're like, we're going to go for the street view, but we're going to get these really tall shrubs and literally remake like a floor, like a hedge wall, and then put our thing in front of it. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But now but to your point about the sun, I'm like, I have no idea. Like I have to go there. I'd have to see it. Like I'd have to, you know what I mean? And that's something that I can't really.
I'm just throwing that out there. That's all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ben's like, just change the weather for me. It's fine.
Just tell the sun to stand behind me.
Yeah. A lot of photographers are impressed that I always have sunset timing on my timelines.
Yes.
They're like,
that is handy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brielle, for joining us today.
You're
we appreciate
welcome.
all the fun horror stories and the
A lot
good
of good
tips
insight.
and
A
advice
a
and
lot. Yep.
Yeah.
a lot of good content. So where can our listeners find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I feel like that's the most up-to-date version of everything that I'm doing. I do offer lots of little like tips and tricks and quote unquote pro tips. And also my website, which is ido-planning.com. And it's I do planning and events, all one word on Instagram. Yeah.
If you guys want to check out the BTS,
I'll just
if you guys
control
want to
this.
check out the BTS behind the scenes and the bloopers and the highlights, you can find us on Instagram at focus.af. And as of this recording for today, our website is still down.
Fine.
So
no
don't
one
go
goes there
there
anyway.
But I think you can still email us at hello@focus-af.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you got any stories that you'd like to share with us, you'd like us to discuss on air, send those over. We'd love to hear what you guys got. And I think that's pretty much it.
And subscribe to
I'll
our new
finish.
YouTube
I was
channel.
gonna say that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is the Focus AF podcast on YouTube. We should be up to date soon.
Yes, we have 6 subscribers. Thanks, guys.
No.
Are we monetizing yet?
We almost doubled that. To monetize, we need 1,000, and we need a certain amount of hours watched. So once you hit those numbers, then you can activate to be able to
We're gonna
monetize
be
it.
rolling in the
you,
dough.
So
you can start throwing ads in there and stuff.
start
like that,
subscribing, guys. Thank
Yes.
you. All right.
Yeah. On that note, you guys focused AF?
We are.
I have to because I have to work.
Yes.
I'm on my second or third tequila at this point.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. Repeat. All right.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Adios.
Bye.
Focused AF is a fun, business-focused podcast for wedding creatives.
Co-hosted by award-winning husband and wife wedding photography teams Ben and Karis.
And Jenn Ro, where we help fellow wedding creatives with their sales and marketing.
With laid-back conversations and real talk with some of our most favorite people in the universe.
And with that being said, are you focused AF?
I am Focused AF today.
We are Focused AF.
I think I might be focused AF.
Welcome to the Focused AF podcast.